Alright, sisters and brothers of the demon school, let's begin the story with Su Yuan, a young man with shimmering blue hair and golden orange eyes, who is about to give the opening speech for the new term. While Su Yuan is speaking to open the term, many students are whispering and gossiping about his background, saying that he is poor, in debt, with an absent father and a drunk mother. Yet, he still manages to send his child to such an expensive school. He must be so embarrassed. Everyone is gossiping about Su Yuan's background without knowing if it's true or not. As Su Yuan speaks, he hears all the whispers but can do nothing except give his speech. Being a top student, he is loved by the teachers but hated by his peers. While Su Yuan is speaking, he suddenly feels dizzy, and before he knows it, he collapses and faints. When he wakes up, Su Yuan finds himself at school and wonders why no one took him to the infirmary. Do they despise him that much? It's dark, and no one woke him up. Su Yuan decides to explore the school. After a while, an unfamiliar teacher approaches him. The teacher introduces himself as the night shift supervisor and says he will take Su Yuan to his dorm since he is a resident student of this school. Su Yuan thanks the teacher. As the wind brushes against Su Yuan's neck, his pheromones waft towards the teacher's face, causing the teacher's dark eyes to turn red. The teacher then rushes towards Su Yuan as if he were a ghost. Seeing the teacher's sudden change in behavior, Su Yuan feels scared and surprised, thinking the teacher might not be human. The teacher then asks if Su Yuan doesn't have a partner yet and offers to help him. Su Yuan doesn't understand what the teacher is saying and doesn't recognize him. Who is this person? Suddenly, a student appears from behind the teacher and says, "Do you really think that was a good idea? You might get expelled from this school for that. Do you think it's worth it?" Seeing this, Su Yuan asks what is going on and why the teacher is running so fast. He can't be human. The student introduces himself as Theodore and explains that this is not a regular school. Su Yuan asks if this is Augustine University. Just a moment ago, I was giving a speech, and now I'm here. I don't understand where this place is. Theodore replies, "Oh, so you were transported to another dimension. This is Augustine School. But it's a dimension of demons. It can't be a coincidence that you ended up here. You might have been chosen by someone from the human world. So, welcome. You have to study here. Otherwise, you won't be able to leave." Su Yuan, hearing Theodore's words, is confused. He doesn't understand why he ended up in this secret dimension school. Su Yuan tries to ask Theodore, but Theodore doesn't answer. Theodore tells Su Yuan that tomorrow, a human friend of his will explain everything about this place. After that, Theodore takes Su Yuan to his dorm room. The scene cuts to the next morning after Theodore dropped Su Yuan off, and Su Yuan is unable to sleep because he is scared and still doesn't know what is going on. It's also strange, I'm afraid there are ghosts and demons everywhere. After a while, a human knocks on Su Yuan's door and introduces himself as Chonan, saying he is also human and not to be afraid. Su Yuan recognizes the voice immediately. Chonan explains that this school is for half demons, and humans live here to help demons control their behavior before going to the real human world. You don't have to worry, if you graduate from here, you'll be fine in the real world. Su Yuan asks, will these demons not harm us? Why do they have tails? The protagonist said that these demons wouldn't harm us, right? Why does he have a tail? Right now, the protagonist is exploring around the school. It turns out that it really is a demon school. There are both fox demons. The heroine doesn't understand, they won't eat us, right? Shonan reassures her that even though these demons may look strange and unlike humans, they live together in groups and societies just like us, with both bad and good people. So, just avoid the ones with a bully attitude. Otherwise, you'll get into trouble and won't finish your studies. Shonen then tells the protagonist to choose good friends. The human world probably sent you here. Shonen encourages Su Yuan. Shonen takes Su Yuan on a school tour, showing which buildings to attend classes in, where the bathrooms are, and where to have gym class, exploring the school. After the tour, the protagonist returns to the room, planning to take a nap since they didn't sleep well last night. However, when they return, they find a smell of blood in their room. This means someone has been killed. When the protagonist checks their room, they find a young man lying in a pool of his own blood, apparently dead. The young man is a wolf demon, likely a wolf based on his appearance, and he lies there in a pool of blood. The heroine, seeing this, is shocked and doesn't know what to do. So, she approaches the young man. The young man, seeing the protagonist, grabs her. The protagonist says, "Wait, I'll call an ambulance." "No, wait, I'll go to the infirmary." The wolf demon tells her, "Don't tell anyone. See that upstairs? There's a first aid kit. Just help me with that, and I'll be fine." The protagonist, seeing this, decides to help the wolf demon with his wounds, but suddenly, she falls asleep. The scene cuts to the wolf demon transforming back into a human form and hovering over the protagonist. The wolf then covers the protagonist's mouth. He looks like he's about to bite her neck. The protagonist realizes that today, she's definitely going to die. But before anything happens, Shonen knocks on the door. The wolf, seeing someone knocking, quickly jumps out the window. Shonen, seeing the protagonist's room messy and in disarray, is confused about what happened and asks. However, the protagonist doesn't tell the truth about what happened. The scene then cuts to the classroom, where the protagonist is about to attend math class. Shonen warns that this teacher has a terrible attitude, so don't skip this subject. The protagonist agrees, saying, "Okay, I won't skip class." The teacher checks the students' names, and when it comes to one student, the name is Fui. The protagonist notices and asks, doesn't anyone plan to wake him up? But the protagonist is sitting next to him. Shonen advises, it's better not to get involved with him, he's like this, and not many people care about him. Just focus on staying safe. The protagonist responds, "Okay." The teacher keeps calling Fuyi's name repeatedly. The protagonist thinks, why isn't he waking up? After a while, the friends sitting behind the protagonist start gossiping about Fuyi, saying things like, "No one loves you," and similar remarks. The protagonist notices and thinks, they're gossiping about me just like in the human world. He must feel uncomfortable, so I'll wake him up myself. The protagonist decides to wake Fuyi. When Fuyi sees someone trying to wake him up, he turns to the person who is waking him. It turns out that Fuyi. It's that wolf who was on top of the heroine, everyone. The heroine seeing this was like, wow, I should have believed him. I shouldn't have gotten involved with him. Fuyi then missed the roll call for the first class, which meant that Fuyi got to attend class for the first time, even though she had been coming to class all along. But she had never missed the roll call before. But today, she checked in for the first time in class, thanks to the hero. As for the hero, knowing that it was that wolf who had been on top of her last night, he quickly moved his desk away, not wanting to get involved with the wolf's scent. So, she was interested in him, staring at him without stopping. Is it really that obvious? After class, the hero planned to go to the bathroom. But suddenly, a rabbit demon bumped into the hero. No one knows who this rabbit demon is, but it ran into the hero and scattered papers everywhere. The hero, being a kind-hearted human, decided to help the rabbit demon, who saw the hero as a really nice person. He said, "Wow, you're really a good person. I rarely see humans with such a good nature. I really want to be friends with you." So, the hero, being friendly, said, "Okay, if you want to invite me to eat, that's fine because I'm hungry too." The rabbit then said, "Let me gather my papers first, and then I'll come to pick you up." Fuyi, seeing that the rabbit was trying to get close to the hero, couldn't help but feel jealous. The hero, noticing that the wolf was talking to him, thought, why is he talking to me? I don't want to talk to that wolf. The wolf then said, let me give you a piece of advice. It's better not to get involved with that rabbit if you want to have a normal life here and graduate without any problems. I recommend that you stay away from that rabbit. If you don't believe me, that's up to you. The hero didn't understand why he shouldn't get involved with the rabbit, so he argued back, why can't I get involved with whoever I want? The hero, seeing that the hero was arguing back, stood over him and said, then don't disturb me while I'm sleeping. You woke me up today, and you really don't know how to let someone sleep. The hero then apologized, saying, I'm sorry, I won't touch you again. The hero, feeling frustrated, said, well, I'm off. The hero, seeing the hero walk away, felt annoyed by his attitude, acting like he was so cool. Then the scene shifted to Fu Yi, who saw the hero bandaging himself, wondering why she was only thinking about his face. But judging by her expression, Fu Yi must have felt something for Su Yuan. After that, the scene shifted to about 2 to 3 days later, where the hero had become close with the rabbit. The rabbit had been trying to get close to the hero, who didn't have many friends. So, they became close. During that time, the hero and the rabbit often went places together. One day, a gang of bullies came to pick on the rabbit because it was a demon. The bullies, seeing that the hero was with the rabbit, asked, hey, don't you have a partner yet? Want to partner up with me? I can protect you. The hero, not understanding what a partner was, didn't want one and refused, saying, I don't want to be with you guys. The demon, seeing that the hero was being cheeky, decided to teach the new kid a lesson. The bully gang planned to bully the hero, but before they could, a mysterious hand grabbed the bully's head and slammed it to the ground violently, pulling his hair out. The one who did this was Fu Yi. The green-haired bully, seeing Fu Yi, a black fox, was scared and decided to run away because Fu Yi looked like the biggest bully in the school. The little bullies didn't want to mess with her. The rabbit felt very scared of the hero's gaze. The hero, seeing this, asked, why is he looking at you like that? The rabbit was about to tell the truth, saying, before this, I had a friend. We might not have been partners, but we were very close, and he was hurt badly until he died. The rabbit started crying, confused about why he was crying. The hero, seeing this, thought, oh no, I shouldn't have asked. It must be a traumatic experience for him. So, the hero decided not to ask anymore. The hero then comforted the rabbit, hugging him and saying, from now on, I will protect you. You won't get hurt as long as you're close to me. So, be my partner. The rabbit smiled strangely. In the previous episode, after the rabbit hugged the hero and said, I want to be your partner. The hero still hadn't agreed to be the rabbit's partner. The hero asked the rabbit, where is the library? Can you take me there? I want to find information about this school. The rabbit then planned to take the hero to the library. But when they arrived, the rabbit said, I have some business to take care of first. The hero then decided to sit and read a book in the library alone. So the protagonist decided to sit alone and read a book in the library. Suddenly, Theodore sat down next to the protagonist and asked what book they were reading. The protagonist, seeing Theodore, asked which grade he was in. I searched for you but couldn't find you anywhere. Theodore. The protagonist replied, oh, I'm reading about demon tribes. I'm interested in this to help me survive. Theodore laughed because he didn't expect the protagonist to adapt so quickly. He said, you don't have to read, you can just ask me if you want. Seeing that the protagonist seemed eager and liked to research on their own, Theodore became interested and asked if they didn't have a partner yet, would they like to be one? The protagonist realized that the demon wanted them to be partners again. Even though they didn't understand what a partner was or why it was important, they asked, why do you want me to be one? Theodore replied, if you are my partner, you definitely won't be bullied. The protagonist was confused again because demons who offered to be partners usually said they wouldn't be bullied. Bullied by what? The protagonist wondered. The protagonist then declined Theodore because they planned to be partners with the rabbit. Theodore, who was rejected, said, "It's okay, I already knew we weren't that close yet. But if you change your mind, you can choose me." The protagonist then apologized to Theodore and continued reading the biography of the demon until late at night. The librarian, seeing that the protagonist wouldn't leave the library, asked, "What time are you planning to leave?" "The library is closed now." The protagonist apologized and hurriedly packed their books, planning to read more in their room. On the way, they felt something strange. The atmosphere seemed damp and eerie. After a while, the protagonist heard a squelching sound, like someone eating something. They decided to investigate and found the hallway covered in blood. When they followed the trail of blood, they discovered the corpse of a man, dead, and the protagonist didn't even know how they walked past it. After a moment, a familiar voice rang out. It was the rabbit's voice. The rabbit asked the protagonist what they were doing there and why they hadn't left yet. With a very strange expression, the protagonist didn't need to guess the situation. They knew the rabbit must have killed this person. But how could a rabbit kill someone? The protagonist asked, "What happened?" "He died." The protagonist asked, "Did you kill him?" The rabbit looked confused and replied, "Yes, I killed him." The straightforwardness of the rabbit's statement made the protagonist unable to believe that their close friend was like this. The protagonist recalled the black fox. They asked, "Why did you do that?" The rabbit replied, "He bullied me and you, he had to die. He thought we were weak. The only way to prove I'm not weak is to kill him, to show him in the world of the dead, so I killed him." Hee, and then she laughed. The protagonist saw that their friend had gone insane. So they planned to run away. But the rabbit caught up with them. The rabbit saw that the protagonist didn't want to be friends anymore. Then she told the protagonist, "I will grow your heart to eat it so you can stay with me forever, just like my last friend. You will live inside my body." The protagonist, hearing their friend say that, thought, "Wow, that's intense." But since the rabbit didn't realize what she was doing, she ran to block the protagonist's path. When the rabbit managed to block the protagonist's way, she quickly grabbed the protagonist's heart. The protagonist. But before the protagonist could die, that black fox kicked the rabbit away and placed the protagonist's body in the bushes. Then she hurried to teach the rabbit a lesson. The rabbit, seeing this, laughed because even though it was a black fox, it couldn't defeat me right now because no matter what, you have to die today. The rabbit planned to kill the black fox, but it couldn't land a hit. The black fox then grabbed the rabbit by the neck and slammed it against a tree. It injected the potion into the rabbit, and injecting too much caused an overdose. The rabbit felt like it was choking on the potion and was dying from the inside. The black fox, seeing this, remarked that your foolish body consumes so much power. You are just a lowly creature, your life cycle is to be hunted. No matter what, you will continue to be hunted, never stopping. The rabbit, hearing the wolf's words, began to cry. Because she hated it. She hated it. If I could choose to be born, I wouldn't want to be born into such a low class. I don't want to be like this. The rabbit cried and its body disintegrated into smoke. Then the scene shifted to the protagonist, who saw that the protagonist's heart was being pulled out, not exactly pulled out, but more like being reached into. Seeing Su Yuan's condition nearing death, he asked, "Do you want to continue living?" "I still want to go back to my mother. Please help me," the protagonist cried, knowing he was likely to die. Fui then took the protagonist's hand and transformed into fox form, pulling out her own heart. She looked at the protagonist and said, "As a fox, I have 3 lives. I will lend you a life. I will lend you 10 years until you graduate. After you graduate, you will have time to find your mother and settle everything in your life. After that, you will have to die by my hands, understand?" Su Yuan, hearing this, felt at least she could return to her mother and complete her mission, which made her feel good. The protagonist then placed his heart into Su Yuan's heart, meaning Fui had now lent the protagonist her heart for a period of 10 years. After the day the protagonist gave his heart to Su Yuan, he woke up in the hospital. When the protagonist woke up and saw his friend, he asked, "What happened?" The protagonist couldn't remember anything. His friend said, "You fainted. And you were with Fu Yi. He was the one who brought you back. Did he do anything to you?" The protagonist couldn't remember. All he knew was that he felt a lot of pain and suffering in his body, as if he had died. After the protagonist left the hospital, he tried to find Fu Yi to ask what really happened that night, but he couldn't find Fu Yi at all, even though he went to his building. Feeling discouraged after a while, the protagonist's body started to feel strange. His heart was racing out of rhythm, making it hard for him to breathe. He even collapsed on the floor because he couldn't catch his breath. After a moment, a mysterious vein appeared. The protagonist felt as if his body was falling apart once again. But then, after a while, Fu Yi walked in. Seeing the protagonist struggling, Fu Yi asked if he was unable to endure it any longer, saying that he would surely die without him. Suddenly, Fu Yi approached the protagonist and kissed him. The protagonist, surprised by Fu Yi's kiss, pushed him away and asked what was happening. Fu Yi then said that he had given his heart to the protagonist. Fu Yi explained that the only way to keep that heart beating was to receive his life force. He needed to accept his life force if he wanted to live. The protagonist asked if he had to take Fu Yi's life force all the time. "So, he really did give me his heart. That means what happened that night was true. My rabbit friend is really a bad person, huh?" The fox said that yes, he almost killed you, but I managed to save you in time. The protagonist then walked over, grabbed the fox's shirt, and said to him, "So." The fox, seeing this, denied it because she didn't want to get involved. "Don't think that I helped you or gave you my heart because I care about you. No, if you die, I would be in trouble too. Because that rabbit has already disintegrated. There's no evidence of him left. I can't let you die there. Otherwise, I'd be in trouble as well." Su Yuan, hearing this, pleaded, "Please, be my partner." And Su Yuan was trembling. It seemed like she was scared. Because right now, the protagonist was her only option. The protagonist, noticing this, felt annoyed and took Su Yuan to the office. After the two agreed to be partners, the protagonist put earrings on the protagonist. Seeing that the protagonist didn't seem to mind him that much, he wondered why it was so easy to become partners when he thought he would have to ask multiple times. This left the protagonist confused. The protagonist then asked. The protagonist replied, "No, I just thought you wouldn't agree. I can't believe that just asking you once, you would accept me like that." The protagonist felt a bit annoyed. Why does the protagonist act like he's controlling me? The protagonist then apologized to the protagonist for misunderstanding several things, and thanked him for helping. As for the matter of blowing air, "We really have to kiss." The protagonist's face turned red. Fu Yi was confused when the protagonist mentioned kissing, wondering what a kiss was because demons don't allow kissing. But Fu Yi remembered reading about human history and what kissing means. "I didn't mean to do that with you, you psycho." The protagonist was surprised to see Fu Yi suddenly yelling, especially since it was him who kissed Fu Yi. So, Fu Yi quickly walked away, saying that there was no need to kiss, just blowing on his neck or major artery would make his heart beat normally. "Anyway, I'll go now. Just be careful, okay?" The protagonist agreed, and the scene shook as several days passed. The protagonist planned to ask the teacher to go outside the school because she wanted to visit her mother, but the teacher said that if she wanted to go out, "You need a partner. Do you have one?" The protagonist replied that he already had a partner named Fu Yi. The teacher then said, "Oh, Fu Yi, the black fox, huh? That makes it even more complicated, you probably won't be leaving the school." The protagonist didn't understand why that was the case. The teacher explained that the black fox was banned from the account because it was a genocide demon. Hearing the word genocide, the protagonist was shocked and asked. The teacher continued, saying that Fui was a black fox and that the black fox family was very addicted to humans. They wouldn't actually eat your flesh, but they would play with your soul. Therefore, I recommend that. But the protagonist was already too late, he was already in a pair bond. So he asked the teacher if there was another way for him to leave this school because he wanted to visit. The teacher replied that there was a way, which was that he would have to go with them. You would need to sign a document with Fui and then submit the signed document to the principal until the principal called for you. After that, you would be able to leave the Augustus school and visit the human world for about 2 to 3 days, but you must return. Seeing this, the protagonist thought, wow. The protagonist then walked over to Fui. Fui, noticing that the protagonist was approaching, asked what was up. The protagonist said, I want to visit my family. Can you help me sign the document and go out with me? The wolf, seeing that the protagonist was encroaching on his personal space, said, I am your partner, but that doesn't mean you have the right to order me around. And I will never sign that document, don't mess with me. The protagonist then told the wolf, this is really important, it's about my family. The wolf didn't listen and replied, if you want to go home, find a new partner. If you don't want to find a new one, just accept it, you have to stay here forever. Seeing the wolf's response, the protagonist started to cry because he wanted to go see his mother. After all, his life only had his mother, and he didn't know how she was doing now. The scene cuts to 2 days later, and the protagonist was looking for a way to visit his mother and then come back, but there was no way. The protagonist began to accept the reality that maybe he wouldn't be able to see her until he graduated, which could take 4 to 5 years. He didn't know. The protagonist started to cry for a while when suddenly Fui walked over to him and slapped a piece of paper onto his chest. The protagonist, seeing this, looked at the paper and found that it was a confirmation document from the principal. Fui had gone to ask for confirmation from the principal to leave the school together. Seeing this, the protagonist asked, what happened? The wolf then asked, don't you want to go out? The protagonist thanked him. The wolf didn't care. Fui said, all right, hurry up and go to bed. Tomorrow, wake up early. The protagonist agreed. Then the scene cuts after both of them had successfully left Augustus. The protagonist was very confused after coming out. Because the Augustus dimension and the real-world dimension were hardly different at all. Once he came out and turned around. Once outside, turning back. It was as if there was no August. The protagonist didn't really understand these dimensions and how they ended up there. He intended to find his mother, but before he could go, the hero stopped him because the principal had asked him to buy something, which was Fui had to buy some lewd figures, which was confusing because why would they ask a kid to buy something like that? Everyone passing by noticed a kid under 20 buying figures and secretly stared. The shop owner just ran out of stock this morning. Sorry about that. This made the hero have to look for other shops, but checking other shops would take time. Where would they sleep tonight? The hero intended to go back right away, so the protagonist suggested that he could stay at his house first. The hero said no, he would find a hotel instead. So the two decided to walk to the protagonist's house. Fui would also look for other figure shops. When they arrived at the donut shop, Fui, being a fox, loves sweet things like candy and donuts. The protagonist asked if Fui wanted a donut, but Fui said no, feeling shy for some reason. The protagonist remembered what the teacher said, that Fui or the black fox family like human behavior a lot and enjoyed human souls, so whatever humans did. The protagonist thought that Fui might know a human who liked donuts or sweets, which explained his behavior. The protagonist decided to secretly buy a donut for Fui before heading home. After that, the protagonist brought the hero to his house, where his mother was also home. Seeing her child with a new friend confused her because the protagonist usually had no friends. The mother asked, "Is this your friend?" "Oh no, Mom. You're wearing such an ugly shirt. I'm so embarrassed. The protagonist reassured, it's fine, he doesn't even care. He'll just be here for a moment, then he'll leave. The protagonist's mother then told the hero to stay at their house for a bit while she went to the supermarket to buy groceries since he probably hadn't eaten and must be tired. The protagonist left the hero behind. After the protagonist returned from the supermarket, it was evening. You can stay here because we're friends. The protagonist found some pajamas for the hero, but each set was too small. Seeing that the hero was much bigger, the protagonist asked, "What did you eat as a kid?" Then suddenly, the protagonist asked, "You don't hate humans, do you?" "I don't think you're that kind of person." Fu-Yi, hearing those words from the protagonist, recalled her past and her issues with humans. The hero then shouted, "If I said I hated humans, it means I hate those filthy humans." The hero swatted the protagonist's hand away as she was bringing a box of donuts for Fu-Yi because she bought them for him, but the hero knocked them away. The protagonist's hand was now bleeding, unsure of what to do or whether to apologize, but he was the one who asked an inappropriate question. The hero stood still, and the protagonist picked up the donut pieces and threw them in the trash, saying, "Sorry for meddling in your personal matters, I won't ask again." The protagonist then invited the hero to eat, and the atmosphere while they sat next to each other was very awkward, no one spoke a word. The scene cut to after they finished eating, and the protagonist entered the room, with the hero following because they had to sleep in the same bed. The protagonist said, "Well then." So the protagonist invited the main character to have dinner together, and the atmosphere with them sitting side by side was super awkward. No one spoke or said anything at all. Then the scene cuts to after they finished eating, and the protagonist entered the room, and the main character came in too because they had to sleep in the same bed. The protagonist then said, "Well then." The hero isn't talking, huh? It's because he's embarrassed that he brushed him off and is afraid of losing face. The protagonist then made a gloomy face and went into the bathroom. While he was about to take a shower, he suddenly noticed a vein on his chest. This vein seemed to indicate that the hero's heart was malfunctioning again, which meant that the protagonist needed the hero's vital energy. The protagonist didn't want to ask for help because he was in a vulnerable state and wasn't sure if the hero would come to assist him. So, he tried to find a way to calm himself down. But it turned out that the more he tried to calm down, the more the vein spread and rushed in faster than before, making the protagonist nearly faint. He couldn't stand, causing the items on the sink to fall and scatter. The hero, hearing the commotion from the bathroom, thought something was wrong with the protagonist. The protagonist, in a state of undress, planned to find something to cover himself because he knew the hero would definitely come in. He grabbed a towel to cover his private parts, but when the hero entered and saw the blue vein spreading across his body. So I asked the protagonist why he didn't tell me. "What are you afraid of?" The protagonist said he didn't want to ask for help. "I was afraid you would think I was trying to impose my identity on your thoughts." Yeah, the protagonist is just being weird, isn't he? What is he afraid of? The hero, seeing this, got annoyed with the protagonist for being so unreasonable. He moved closer and held on to the protagonist, then said to him. This led both of them to exchange their life energy. The hero blew his energy into the protagonist to calm the fox's heart, which caused the protagonist to faint. The scene then shifted to the hero sitting on the bed, checking on the protagonist's condition. The hero picked up a donut from the trash can and whispered into the heroine's ear, "This is really delicious, thank you so much." Then she walked out of the room, revealing that the heroine hadn't actually fallen asleep. It was as if she had just regained consciousness but was still awake. She heard everything the hero said. The scene then shifted to the morning. The heroine was sitting alone, eating breakfast. Her mother asked, "Where's your friend? I heard a commotion in the bathroom yesterday. What happened? Did you two have a fight?" The protagonist replied, "Oh, I just tripped a little." Her mother said, "You're old enough to know better, and you still trip. That's really foolish." After a while, a mysterious man entered her mother's house. The protagonist was there. This man was a creditor of the protagonist's family. The protagonist's mother was in debt for some unknown reason, and it seemed to be a lot. The creditor came to collect every month, and today he had come to demand money from the protagonist. However, this creditor was a demon, not an ordinary human. The protagonist could smell the demon's scent and felt very scared, not knowing what kind of demon it was but too afraid to fight back. The demon threatened the protagonist with its aura because it knew the protagonist had potential. The protagonist didn't know what to do or whom to ask for help. Normally, he could handle creditors who threatened him, but this one was a demon, which made him very scared. He looked around, unsure of whom to ask for help, and saw no one outside. Who will help me? After a while, the protagonist smelled the scent of a black fox. That was Fui. Fui came in and grabbed the demon's head, banging it against the door until it broke. The protagonist saw that Fui had arrived just in time. Fui asked, "Wow, with so many people, why didn't you call for help? Do you want me to help you?" This made the protagonist very nervous. The protagonist was someone who rarely wanted to ask for help because it was a personal issue of his not to reach out to others. He looked at Fui, silently pleading for help, but didn't say it out loud. So, Fui took out a black credit card and handed it to him. Then Fui said, "How much money do you want? Just go and withdraw it. I'll give you everything." That guy saw that Fui had a back card with unlimited credit, which means it could make us rich. So that guy hurriedly took the back card and ran away. Then the scene cuts to the male lead asking the female lead what happened. The female lead explained everything that happened with her family. "Before this, my mother got pregnant with someone. But it seems that the influential person in that family didn't want the baby. My mother escaped from that family and borrowed money from a creditor to take care of me and send me to school, but by the time I grew up, the debt had ballooned, leaving my mother in debt for both the principal and interest. That's the origin of my situation. I will find a way to pay you back, I promise." Fui said, "Why bother paying me back? Money and demons are not essential at all. Besides, that card belongs to my director." I just said that. He couldn't do anything, and the male lead thanked Fui, but he didn't know what to do because just saying thank you seemed useless. Then the scene cuts to late at night, where now, the mother of that guy, Su Yuan, suddenly decided to go find a place to sleep because everything was cleared up. But today, Fui came into the bedroom. Fui changed clothes, planning to sleep with the male lead, who was secretly watching Fui change. Seeing him watching, Fui was confused and asked why. The male lead said, "It's nothing," but he kept watching. So he asked Fui where she went last night. Fui didn't answer and said, "Where I go is my business. You really like to meddle in things that don't concern you." The male lead was scolded again. "But if you want donuts, just tell me directly, and I'll go buy them for you." The male lead realized that the male lead had whispered in his ear last night that donuts were delicious. She felt shy. Shy about what, she didn't know. This made the male lead sleep well that night. That's one revenge taken. Do you think you're the only one complaining? Yeah, the male lead got his revenge. Then the scene cuts to the next day. The male lead said goodbye to his mother and planned to return to school. The male lead took the male lead with him. But before going to school, the male lead noticed the male lead's behavior, wondering why he seemed so weak. It must be because Fui was too close to humans and wasn't receiving energy. So the male lead decided to buy donuts for Fui first. Su Yuan took Fui to sit at a nearby table to rest, saying, "I'll go buy donuts for you." The male lead agreed, but while Su Yuan went to buy donuts, a demon appeared and tried to attack Fui. Since Fui wasn't very strong at the moment, the demon easily harmed her. Then they fled from that demon because it wanted to absorb Fui's energy, as it was a black fox demon that would level up by absorbing the power of a black fox. The two of them ran all day because they had to take a long way around. They couldn't go straight because the demon was always waiting for them. The male lead took Fui and the protagonist noticed that Fui seemed to be struggling, so he said something like, "Why don't you absorb my chi? We're partners, after all." The hero, seeing the protagonist say those forbidden words, got really angry and asked, "What do you see me as? Do you see me as a wild beast that needs to be tamed?" The protagonist just didn't understand. He only wanted to provide chi to help the hero gain more power. "I didn't think that at all." The hero then shook off the protagonist's hand and said, "Don't look down on me." At that moment, it started to rain. And they were getting close to Augusta's school. The hero decided to enter the school alone. But before he could get in, the monster came rushing in and tried to stab the hero, but before it could pierce the hero's heart, it hit the protagonist first, narrowly missing him and causing the protagonist to bleed. The hero, seeing that monster attacking him, got furious and thought, "That monster is trying to take my woman." Suddenly, her power surged, and she transformed into her black fox form, then pounced on that monster until it was dead for attacking my Suyuan. Due to using too much power beyond the limits of the black fox, the snake teacher arrived, who was the one allowing the protagonist and the hero to go outside the school. But he wasn't a ghost, he was the teacher. The protagonist saw the teacher coming and said, "Fui seems to have run out of chi. What should we do?" The teacher replied, "Well, his power must have run out. I've contacted his family already. They'll send a servant to absorb his chi." The protagonist was very curious about what absorbing chi meant. "I thought it was just about absorbing souls. So, how exactly is chi absorption done?" The protagonist didn't understand. He then asked the hero how he was doing, and said, "You should get lost. In the end, you all see me as a monster," and the hero fainted. The scene then cut to the hero's city, where someone received a letter. And that woman, seeing the letter addressed to her, was very happy and said, "I'll get to see Fui again. I miss him so much." Then, back to the previous scene, after the teacher sent a servant from the hero's family to the hero. The scene cut to our hero waking up in the infirmary, and it turned out the protagonist was there watching over him. Seeing this, the hero woke the protagonist up. The protagonist, waking up and seeing the hero awake, asked, "How are you?" Suddenly, the protagonist got too close to the hero's face, and he pushed the protagonist away. But the protagonist held onto his hand tightly. After a while, the snake teacher came in. The snake teacher, seeing that Fui had woken up, told the protagonist that he could leave now, because the servant would be coming soon. Soon, Fui would have to. "That slave over there is a woman, and it seems she knows Fui, but it looks like Fui doesn't recognize her. I also want to know what exactly this power-sucking thing is. Why does Fui seem to have such a strong aversion to sucking power from me? How does this power-sucking work?" The protagonist is curious and imagines that maybe sucking power means eating flesh or just biting the neck and sucking blood. After a while, the protagonist couldn't hold back anymore. They really want to know. So, the protagonist hurried to the hero's room and rang the doorbell to see if the hero had finished sucking power. The hero opened the door and shouted. But when the door opened, it turned out it wasn't that woman. It was the protagonist themselves. The protagonist, seeing the hero speak, was confused, wondering why they were being chased away when they had just arrived. The hero, noticing the protagonist, asked why they were there. The protagonist asked if the hero had finished sucking power. After a moment, the protagonist looked into the hero's room and saw that they seemed to want to enter, so they asked if they wanted to talk inside because it was noisy outside. The protagonist agreed and decided to enter the hero's room, asking again if they had finished. The hero, seeing the protagonist getting off topic again, said not to interfere. The protagonist laughed and apologized, saying they really wanted to interfere. The hero couldn't understand this human, wondering why they were so shameless. They told the protagonist not to interfere. The protagonist replied that they were partners now, and they should talk, right? At least let them know more about the hero. They shouldn't leave them confused about what they like or dislike, they should tell them. The hero was starting to get annoyed, tired of the protagonist trying to insert themselves into their life. The protagonist insisted that they wanted to know because they had many years left to be with the hero. They needed to live safely and find their mother, so they had to know what the hero liked. Why don't you bite me for power? You gave me your heart, which reduced your power, so you should take some back. The hero, unable to tolerate the protagonist nagging any longer, said, "Fine, if you want me to bite you that much, I will." The hero then led the protagonist to sit on the sofa. They told the protagonist to get ready, as they would see something ugly for sure. The protagonists prepared themselves because they had to let the hero do it. After a moment, the hero acted like they were going to bite the protagonist's neck. Suddenly, they took the protagonist's hand and bit into their wrist, sucking blood. That is how power sucking works. The protagonist, seeing the hero sucking their power, felt that their soul was entering the hero's body, but it was very strange. Why did they feel hot and tingly? It didn't seem as scary as they thought. Why did the hero say it was so terrifying when it didn't seem bad at all? After the hero finished sucking power, they told the protagonist. "So, do you like it? Do you like having someone suck your blood?" The protagonist replied that it wasn't bad if the hero wanted to do that, they thought it was okay. "If you suck power, will you turn back into a human?" The hero said they would in a moment. The protagonist said, "But your fox form is really cool. I think it makes me feel warm when you're like this. You look fluffy, and I like your long fur." Fu Yi, seeing the protagonist say something so strange, shouted, "What are you talking about?" and blushed. "You should leave now because I want to rest." The protagonist agreed, and after that, the two didn't see each other for about 2 or 3 days. The protagonist, needing to find a part-time job because money was tight in the dimension of August, planned to work as a bartender. When the protagonist arrived, they found out that the bar was a gay bar for demons. Since it was the protagonist's first time here, being a cute boy, it wasn't surprising that the guys would like the demon types. So they started bothering the protagonist, but since the protagonist was working, they didn't want anyone to disturb them. So they responded a bit harshly. Demons who are looked down upon by humans don't really like it. So I was thinking of taking the story. But after a while, Theo came to help the protagonist. Seeing that the demon was drunk, Theo grabbed the demon and took it away. Then he said that the demon shouldn't behave like this towards humans. "Did you forget?" The demon, upon seeing Theo, quickly ran away. Protagonist. Theo then thought about treating the protagonist to a cup of tea. And then they could sit down and talk. The protagonist agreed. The scene then cuts to our hero. After the healing power of her urine had restored him. Now the hero can transform back into human form. The hero, who hasn't smelled Su Yuan for a while, started to wonder if something was wrong with Su Yuan. So she secretly went to look for Su Yuan, to see how his daily life was going. But when the hero went to find Su Yuan, it turned out that he wasn't in his room. Had he gone back to eat? The hero then searched for Su Yuan around the school and eventually found the protagonist at the bar, wearing a staff uniform. She didn't understand why the protagonist was here, it was very dangerous, so she planned to. It seemed that Fu Yi didn't really like Theo much either. It looked like the two might have had a conflict. The protagonist, who was following Fu Yi, said, "Well." But the hero replied that it wasn't a suitable place for a human student, you would be harassed by demons, and if you died there, no one would know you were there. But the protagonist completely forgot about this. The protagonist then thanked her for, well, finding her senses. The hero then asked, "If you want to work, why didn't you ask me? I could have found you a good job." The protagonist replied, "How could I ask? When I went to find you, you just chased me away. The hero asked for the heroine's phone number. Then she typed her number in. After that, she said, if you have anything to discuss, contact this number. Make sure to be the first to contact me so you won't look foolish. The hero chuckled and agreed, laughing back and forth. The heroine sneezed because it was really cold, saying she didn't wear a coat. The hero then took off his coat and put it on her. The heroine was surprised when he suddenly gave her his coat. The hero said, "You're lucky nothing happened to you today. Consider yourself fortunate." The heroine noticed Fu Yi's words, which seemed to show he was concerned, making her heart race. Being spoken to like that by a guy made her feel flustered. She stared at Fu Yi, who noticed her gaze. The heroine quickly looked away, laughing nervously, and said, "Thank you so much for saying that. I really appreciate it. I'll be more careful and think of you." The hero was hit by the cuteness overload. He felt shy but kept his composure. Their playful banter made both of them start to see each other as more than friends. The one who couldn't see it the most was probably. Right now, the heroine's thoughts were shifting. She couldn't see Fu Yi as just a friend anymore. She wanted to claim him as her boyfriend instead. The heroine began to view Fu Yi differently, just a little. After both of them teased each other back and forth. They were just talking. The scene cuts to the next day. Today, the heroine was sitting in class as usual. But since the hero didn't come to class today, the heroine ended up attending alone. While she was studying, a girl came and sat close to her. This girl was the hero's servant. The heroine felt uneasy seeing her sit nearby. Was there something going on? If she didn't give power to the hero, it must be this girl. It seemed like she really wanted to give power to Fu Yi. After class, the girl asked, "How long are you going to keep looking at me? Is there something you want to talk about?" The heroine replied, "Sorry, there's nothing." The girl then asked, "Christmas is coming soon. What gift are you planning to give Fu Yi for his birthday?" The girl then asked, "Is it almost Christmas? What gift are you planning to give for Miss Fu's birthday? I saw that you're close to him, you must know about this for sure." The protagonist was really surprised because he didn't know. He didn't realize that the hero's birthday was coming up soon. So she asked, "When is the hero's birthday?" That girl. "Don't forget to prepare something for him too." Then that woman walked away. And the scene shifted to the evening. Fu Yi and the protagonist met up. It's true that Fu Yi doesn't study. But he came to pick up the protagonist. That's just amazing. He's acting like a boyfriend now. The protagonist saw Fu Yi sucking on a candy again. So he asked, "If you're hungry for energy, why don't you eat my food instead?" The hero replied, "I didn't eat the candy because I needed energy, I just like sweets." The heroine laughed because it was so contrary to his image. The hero started to blush, thinking, "Why am I acting like a kid? I shouldn't be eating candy." After a while, Su Yuan asked, "What do you want for your birthday?" When the hero heard the word birthday, he asked the younger one, "Why are you bringing that up?" The protagonist replied, "It's nothing, it's your birthday, right? I want to buy you a gift." The hero made an angry face. Then he asked, "Where did you hear that from? Who told you? Is it him?" "I know he told you, didn't he? You guys like to hang out together." The protagonist started to get confused. "Hey, why are you acting like this all of a sudden? Why do you look so angry for no reason?" The protagonist asked, "What happened?" The hero said, "It's none of your business, so don't ask me about my birthday anymore. I've never celebrated my birthday." The hero had a blank expression and walked away. The heroine saw that he was acting angry again, so she went to wash him up because she didn't like it when they were mad at each other and not talking. The protagonist went to grab him and wash him up. The protagonist sees that this is the first time the heroine has come to wash him up. It makes him even angrier because the heroine tends to overstep boundaries. But he has to understand that she is his wife in the future. The protagonist then asks, "Why are you holding me?" The heroine replies, "Can we talk? That's why I'm asking what you like or dislike. I don't know anything about you." The heroine keeps walking away, "So why can't we talk?" The protagonist laughs and looks at the heroine, asking, "If you knew, what would you do? You're just a stupid human with no power at all. I even have to give you my life. What can you do?" It's tough to see the protagonist speaking so harshly. It shouldn't be said like that. The heroine feels a bit heartbroken. She didn't expect Fu-Yi to see her that way. Fu-Yi then straddles the heroine, leaning against a tree, and says, "From now on, don't meddle in my affairs. You can't handle anything." The heroine sees the protagonist speaking like this again and says, "It's not that. I just want to lighten your feelings. You shouldn't make that face, it makes me feel really bad. If there's anything I can help with, I want to help." The protagonist laughs and walks away, ignoring the heroine, which makes her feel really bad about herself because many times, her good intentions have led to arguments. After a while, that woman walks over and laughs. She says, "You don't know anything about him. Why are you still so shamelessly involved with my lord? You should stay far away from his life." Then the aunt smiles. The heroine realizes that the root cause is this woman. She then asks, "What?" The woman replies, "I've been with my lord for over 10 years. I know what he wants and what he's suffering from. You shouldn't interfere." She says she knows what he wants and what he's suffering from, but then she opens this issue. She's selfish, he should bite her to death. I shouldn't have exchanged words with her. Just remember, I won't let her get close to him again. She's a danger to him. The heroine walks out, thinking that the woman has no right to stop her. "I am from the family of the wealthy long. It's normal for me to give my power to my lord. And you are just a stupid human." Even if she is human, she discriminates against her own kind. She doesn't like outsiders giving power to Fu-Yi because she was born to fulfill this role alone. The scene cuts to the heroine, who is following the protagonist. Theodore sees the heroine and says, "We meet again. This is the 4th time we've run into each other by chance." But in reality, it's not a coincidence. After several encounters with the heroine, Theodore intentionally came to find her. Because she wants to know something about the heroine. The heroine sees Theodore. Theodore says, "I have something to discuss. Do you want to talk?" The heroine replies, "Not really. I've been through a lot, and it's very cold. Let's save it for another day." Theodore agrees and suggests, "How about we meet in the human realm tomorrow? I'll take you on a trip." The heroine agrees since she has no classes tomorrow. The scene shifts to the male lead standing by the window, watching the two of them getting cozy. This is in front of the male lead's building, and the female lead is planning to visit him. However, the male lead has turned off the lights, so the female lead thinks he hasn't returned yet. In reality, he is in the room, but they're being all lovey-dovey. This makes Fu-Yi extremely displeased. Then the scene cuts to the next morning. Theodore takes the female lead to the human realm. They are there to buy some toys. The female lead is picking and choosing. She comes across a white fox doll. Seeing it reminds her of Fu-Yi. She thinks about whether she should buy this doll to make up with her boyfriend. Theodore, seeing this, is not pleased at all. So, he grabs the male lead and takes him to. The female lead notices Theodore's change in behavior and asks what's going on. Theodore replies that it can be anyone, just not that guy. The male lead is confused, wondering what he means. Theodore explains that when he let the male lead go back then, it was because he wanted him to date a human and not to be with a black fox. If he wants to date someone, why not date me instead? The male lead is still confused, as everyone is puzzled because of Theodore. After a while, Theodore pulls out a necklace, a yellow crystal necklace, and says, "This is your childhood memory. I knew you before. You came to the August realm, and we spent many days together. I wanted to turn you into a vampire like me, so you could be with me forever. But I chose to let you go. Because being human is the happiest thing, after all." The male lead is starting to get confused because he can't remember. Theodore erased the male lead's memories from that realm. To summarize briefly, the male lead had entered the August realm before. It's unclear how he got there as a child, but he did go there and met Theodore. In the August realm, time flows differently than in the human world. The male lead. Theodore and the male lead were very close, and a childhood photo appears. Theodore's father, noticing that Theodore is getting close to a human, plans for Theodore to turn that human into a vampire as well, so they can be together. Theodore is in love with the male lead's humanity, captivated by the blood flowing through him. When Theodore touches him and hears the sound of his blood flowing, he falls for this part of the male lead. He might also be in love with his thoughts. However, Theodore doesn't want to turn the male lead into a vampire. The protagonist, Theodore, fell in love with the protagonist's humanity, captivated by the blood flowing through him. When Theodore touched him and heard the sound of blood flowing, he might have fallen in love with this part of the protagonist. He might even have fallen for his thoughts. But Theodore didn't want to make the protagonist become like a vampire. Theodore erased the protagonist's memories from when they entered the young Augustus and stored them in a yellow crystal. Theodore planned to help the protagonist regain those memories because right now, the protagonist seems to like the black fox. Theodore thought that if the protagonist liked the black fox, wouldn't it be better for them to like me instead? That way, we could revive the protagonist's childhood memories, and they would realize that when they see Theodore, their childhood memories would come back. It's like being aware of it because during childhood, we couldn't remember our father, even though we felt like we knew him. But after some back and forth, the protagonist refused because they felt that knowing wouldn't change anything. Knowing would only bring pain since nothing could be fixed. The protagonist said no, and Theodore didn't understand why they wouldn't want to revive those fun memories from when we played together back then. The protagonist said it was fun, but now I'm a new person, and you chose to act this way. I'm sorry, but I'd rather not. Theodore tried to force the memories onto the protagonist, pushing them to remember. But the protagonist firmly refused and walked away, which made our vampire feel like crying because they realized they had made a mistake. They thought they should have done this from the start. The heroine hurried back to the dorm. Upon returning to the dorm, she noticed someone had opened the window. That person was Fui. Fui was waiting for her wife. The hero, seeing the heroine return, had a stern look on his face. He must be angry that his wife secretly went out with another man. The protagonist saw this and asked the little sister why she was standing in the wind. I'll find something warm for you to eat. The protagonist then went. The protagonist asked, so what's the deal with being here? Fui was silent. The protagonist noticed Fui was in her fox form and thought, oh, she probably wants some power. The protagonist planned to hang up her clothes and let the hero bite her. But suddenly, the protagonist was shocked to hear the hero say that. She looked at the hero and asked what was going on. The hero smiled. He then said that if you want to know who I am, and want to know my origins. The hero began to tell the story of what happened to him in the past and why he had a cover. Well, everyone, in the previous chapter, after Fui confessed to the protagonist that she had killed a human, Fui revealed everything about her past, explaining how she became a fox. She was from a prestigious family, but Fui's father was a black fox and didn't tell her mother. The protagonist inherited the black fox blood from his father. One day, the protagonist and his sister. The protagonist wanted to protect his sister out of anger and rage, causing the hero's body to transform into a black fox. In the hero's family, he was the only one. There were about 9 children, but they didn't share the same mother. The protagonist's father went around to ensure that a new generation of black foxes would be born. The protagonist wanted to protect his brother out of anger and rage, causing the hero's body to transform into a black fox. In the hero's family, he was the only one of his kind, with about 9 offspring, but they didn't share the same mother. The hero's father had gone around to ensure that a new generation of black foxes would be born. Just because a black fox and a black fox hybrid exist doesn't mean they have to have offspring. The black fox demon tribe can only bear children with humans. The mother saw her child transform into a black fox and got scared. The mother completely lost her mind and thought. The mother told Fui to spit her child out, even though the black fox is Fui herself, which caused Fui to not receive love from her mother, leading to family issues. You saw how Fui expressed herself, and then she. It means I was scared at first too. I was afraid you would kill me. After all, you are the one who holds my heart. You probably want to take it back whenever you want, right? But once I got to know you, it made me feel relieved. The protagonist took the hero's hand and placed it on her chest. You are the one who makes me feel no fear anymore. So I'm not afraid. I'm not afraid of what you are, where you come from or what you've done. Anyway, you are the one who saved my life. I thank you. The hero saw that the protagonist was not scared at all, even after we told the truth that we had killed humans, which means there's a chance I could kill again, but the protagonist was not afraid. So, he went to get a gift for her, which was that fox, but this time it was different. The hero saw that the protagonist brought this doll. The protagonist then said, "Happy birthday, Fui." This made Fui come out of the fox cage she had trapped herself in. Fui felt like she was about to have a new life again. And the one who will start this new life with me is Suyuan. After the hero confessed the truth, the hero went silent. The protagonist, after giving the gift, also fell silent. She has nothing to say. Going back and forth, the protagonist feels hot around the shoulders, right? It feels like Fui is really hot right now. And the heat from Fui is radiating towards us. The protagonist feels like they are about to melt from the heat. After a moment, Fui grabs the protagonist. Then Fui asks the protagonist how their heart is feeling, if everything is normal. The protagonist replies that they are fine, asking if something is wrong. Fui then says that she might not come here for about 2 or 3 days. So, I will give you some power first. The protagonist agrees. Fui then pulls the collar of the protagonist's shirt, and she blows on the protagonist's neck. Normally, when Fui gives power, she blows on the wrist, right? Or when she absorbs power, she also does it at the wrist. But this time, she blows on the neck. Well, that has a meaning. The protagonist is surprised. But if you ask if they like it a lot. The protagonist feels a lot of tingling sensations. Fui keeps blowing. It's like fueling the fox's heart to prevent it from flaring up. After Fui has finished blowing power into the protagonist, she plans to return to her room. The protagonist, even though they don't want her to leave, doesn't want to hold her back since they aren't in a relationship yet. But if you ask if they want her to stay in their room, they really want that. But they don't dare to say it. The protagonist thinks again and tells her to be careful. They might not see each other for a while, so don't do anything reckless. The male lead agrees. After that day, the two didn't see each other for over a week. The protagonist just read books in their room, plus the school has activities going on. Right now, the Augusta School is collaborating with other schools to organize an exhibition. Other schools will come to the event at Augusta School. Because Augusta School doesn't have many students. The School of Augustus didn't have many humans. The protagonist was chosen along with a friend to organize an event in the human zone. The protagonist Both of them went to organize the prom in the human section, where the protagonist would also gain a new friend from another school. This girl with golden hair is actually a butterfly demon, and she came with her partner. This girl mentioned that for this prom, there's a belief that if we go together, we will get married and be together for life. It's a belief among demons. By the way, who are you planning to take with you? Su Yuan, the protagonist, has no one special in mind. But in her heart, she really wants to invite Fu Yi. However, she knows that Fu Yi wouldn't go to an event like this anyway. While the protagonist was giving her new friend a tour of the school, she suddenly spotted Fu Yi sitting alone on the balcony. Sitting there, looking lonely. The protagonist, seeing this, asked, "What are you doing sitting here?" The protagonist said, "Oh, I'm just showing my new friend around the school. Nothing much." After a moment, the protagonist hesitated, wondering if she should ask him, but she had nothing to lose. So, she asked Fu Yi, "Do you want to go to the prom with me? I don't have a partner, and I'd like to invite you." Fu Yi, who was squirming a bit, replied, "You're inviting me. Do you really think I would go?" The protagonist laughed, knowing that Fu Yi wouldn't go, but he said, "Yeah, I don't want to go, but since you're my buddy, I can't ignore this. If I go with another demon and get hurt, I'll lose points for my behavior." The protagonist didn't expect Fu Yi to agree. When Fu Yi did agree, the protagonist was shocked. Was she happy? Yes, but she didn't really expect it, so she didn't feel overly excited. However, she stood there in shock, not believing he actually said yes. The scene then cuts to the prom night, where the protagonist is dressed in a suit, looking sharp and ready. She didn't know if Fu Yi was dressed yet. The protagonist was about to call Fu Yi because she still didn't know if he was ready when suddenly Fu Yi jumped through the window. The protagonist saw that Fu Yi was also wearing a suit. She was really happy that at least he prepared himself. She thought he would wear a t-shirt instead. The protagonist then planned to invite Fu Yi to go to the event together. Fu Yi said. The protagonist was very happy to attend the prom with Fu Yi. Once they arrived at the event, it was filled only with the extra-world demons. The interworld demons. Fu Yi, being an interworld demon, was confused about why she came since she didn't see anyone she could talk to. She didn't want to talk to anyone. The protagonist, seeing her friends, decided to chat with them for a bit. Fu Yi then said, "Well, I'll go sit and eat cake over there." The protagonist agreed. So, the protagonist chatted with her friends and completely forgot about Fu Yi. Fu Yi, being an interworld demon, started to question why she was there. After all, that guy probably didn't think anything more of her, because if he did, she would have read his mind. In the end, he wasn't hers anyway. Why should she pay attention? Fu Yi started to feel jealous and insecure because her partner wasn't paying attention to her. The protagonist, after chatting with her friends until she was full, decided to go talk to Fu Yi since she had left him alone for a long time. But when she turned back, Fu Yi was gone. The protagonist then decided to follow him. When she went to the restroom, she heard Fu Yi talking to someone, and that person was mentioning Su Yuan, talking about the protagonist. Fu Yi said to that person, "Oh, he's just a lowly human. There's no way I..." The protagonist, hearing this, felt sad because it was definitely Fu Yi's voice. Even though she hadn't seen his face, she listened closely to what Fu Yi was saying. As Fu Yi kept going back and forth, he started to not understand himself, wondering why he was there. That guy probably didn't think too much about it because if he did, I would have read his mind. In the end, he wasn't mine. Why should I care? Fu Yi started to feel jealous and anxious because his partner wasn't paying attention to him. The protagonist, who had been chatting with friends until he was full, decided to talk to Fu Yi since he had left him alone for a long time. But when the protagonist turned back, Fu Yi was gone, so he decided to follow him. When he got to the bathroom, the protagonist heard Fu Yi talking to someone, mentioning Su Yuan. Fu Yi told the other person, "Oh, he's just a lowly human. There's no way I..." The protagonist, hearing this, felt sad because it was definitely Fu Yi's voice, even though he hadn't seen his face yet. He listened closely to what Fu Yi was saying. Fu Yi spoke disdainfully about the heroine, saying she was a foolish human. I just used her power, I never intended to make her someone important. Besides, humans are so easy to deceive. When the heroine heard this, she started to feel uneasy. The hero felt really bad, so he planned to go stay with a friend because he didn't want to think too much. But suddenly, a golden-haired guy invited him to have a drink. The hero felt an odd vibe from this guy, as if he was looking for trouble. The hero, being open-minded, thought, okay, if you want to talk, I'll talk. As they chatted, the golden-haired guy moved closer and offered the hero a drink. After the hero drank that, he felt dizzy. He started to sense that this person was definitely not safe. I think I should get out of here before it gets worse. So, the hero excused himself and planned to go home. Well, it's a mystery who this person is. After leaving the event, the hero felt strange. Suddenly, his body was burning hot. It felt like he was drugged with a sex stimulant, but instead of feeling aroused, he felt terrible and wanted to cry. Right now, the voice of Fu Yi was still echoing in his head. The hero hurriedly ran, hoping to get back to his room quickly. All he wanted was to get inside, sleep, and deal with everything tomorrow. That was all he needed. Then the scene shifted to Fu Yi, who was. Fu Yi was hit by a poison. The reason Fu Yi was in this state goes back about 5 minutes. While Fu Yi was sitting and eating cake, waiting for his wife. Suddenly, that golden-haired guy approached him. He injected something into Fu Yi, which was a drug that the rabbit had previously injected into itself. It would drive the demon insane, causing hallucinations and making them turn on each other. The hero, who got injected a little, was shocked by what happened. Otherwise, the person you care about will definitely die. The hero immediately understood that the golden-haired guy was referring to Su Yuan. So the hero decided to go after that golden-haired guy. Once he stepped outside, the effects of the drug began to kick in. The golden-haired guy then asked. The hero, wanting to protect the heroine, had to lie and said that she was just a lowly human, and he didn't care about her that much. She wanted to protect the hero, but the hero happened to overhear this. The golden-haired guy didn't believe it, laughed, and told the hero, if she's so lowly, then I'll just kill her myself. Even though the hero was slightly affected by the drug, his body couldn't move as commanded. It was a sedative. The hero tried to bite his own blood out to get the drug out. As the drug in the hero's body began to wear off, he quickly called the heroine, saying that right now. But the heroine, who was confused about herself. Plus, her body felt strange. She wondered what had happened to her. So she told the hero not to look for her. Because the heroine thought the hero considered her to be a lowly person. The protagonist doesn't understand what the main character is saying. So, he asks where the main character really is. The main character then lays down. But no matter where he walks, the main character feels like he is walking in circles because right now, his consciousness is completely hazy. He looks around and everything appears blurry, he can't think straight. That main character is crawling. As he crawls back and forth, tears are streaming down his face. Because even though he heard Fu Yi say that he is insignificant, why does his heart feel like it is constantly calling out for him? I really want to see him again. The main character is crying because he is very confused. After a while, Fu Yi jumps in and grabs the main character, asking him what happened, if he was hurt, or if he talked to any strangers who injected something into him. The main character says no. Suddenly, tears start flowing down his face. Because he has met Fu Yi again. Fu Yi checks the main character's condition. Just in case the main character has been affected by some kind of drug. Fu Yi tries to bring the main character back to his senses, telling him to stay awake. The main character sees Fu Yi up close and notices that Fu Yi is covered in blood, making him think that Fui must have gone through something terrible. He plans to comfort him, even though he is confused, he feels he doesn't want to. He takes Fui's hand and places it on his face, saying, "I'm sorry." Then the main character suddenly leaps in to kiss Fui, completely bewildered. Everyone, the protagonist who got kissed by the main character, is just stunned, thinking, "Huh? What is happening?" After the kiss, tears stream down her face, and she says, "This isn't just a kiss. But I really want to kiss you. I'm truly sorry, but I can't control myself any longer." The protagonist is now shocked, thinking, "Huh? Why did you kiss me?" She just doesn't get it. Then the scene cuts to the battle. Right now, all the demons are going wild and about to kill each other. The one who started this chaos is that golden-haired guy. And in the previous chapter, after the main character confessed to Fui that she likes him, Fui also wanted to respond that he likes the main character too. But Fui remembers that someone is currently targeting the main character. The truth is, they are not trying to harm the main character, but they are aiming for Fui to unleash the dark demon within him again to cover up the rumors. So, he didn't directly tell her that he likes her and instead carries the main character, planning to. The main character, who still hasn't heard his answer, asks Fui once more, "How do you really feel about me?" So he asked Fui again, "How do you really feel about me?" But Fui didn't respond. Then the scene cuts to the infirmary. Fui was trying to find something to treat the protagonist's condition. But there were no medicines available. So Fui decided to go to the dome to ask the White Snake Master for medicine to treat the protagonist, who saw Fui leaving without saying a word and tried to hold her back. But Fui shook off the hand and quickly jumped out of the window, which made the protagonist sit there crying because he really didn't understand how Fui felt in the end. While Fui was walking, a woman entered the protagonist's room and blew smoke from her mouth, causing the protagonist to faint. The woman then took the protagonist to the golden-haired demon, who had come to the event and noticed that all the demons were going wild, so it was easy to guess the situation must be because of. Fui decided to hurry back to the protagonist because she was afraid that he might be attacked right now. When she arrived at the infirmary, it turned out that Su Yuan had really disappeared. The protagonist then tried to find Su Yuan because he now knew who had taken him. The scene cuts to Su Yuan, who is currently being held by the golden-haired demon, who has him locked to a table. The protagonist didn't understand why this was happening but tried to think of a way out, hoping that Fui would know he was here. There was only one way, and the protagonist remembered. It was the room they had been in together with Fui. He recalled that there was something he should know. The protagonist tried to distract the golden-haired guy. The golden-haired guy asked, "What are you trying to do? Once we finish exchanging blood, I'll let you go. But I want all of it, okay?" The protagonist's blood had something that the guy. But the truth hadn't been revealed yet. The protagonist saw that the golden-haired guy was distracted, so he grabbed a knife from the side of the table and scratched his own wrist, then tried to scratch the golden-haired guy's face too. The protagonist quickly ran to the chicken doll, then pulled the lever of the chicken doll's switch down. Suddenly, the head of the chicken doll popped off and turned into a firework. The white-haired guy, seeing the protagonist lighting the firework, didn't understand why he was doing that. After a moment, something almost made him faint. The one who threw it was the protagonist himself. Fui knew that the protagonist must be here for sure because it was a firework. Only the protagonist knew that these chickens were hiding fireworks. The protagonist was very happy to see Fui coming. So the two of them had to try to find a way to escape from this white-haired guy because they were both really battered. If they fought head-on, it would be tough, but before they could even start fighting, another member of the same race as the golden-haired guy appeared, but it was a woman. The golden-haired guy called her. Laura told the golden-haired guy, "Can't you fight against a fox and a normal human? Why are you covered in wounds?" The golden-haired guy replied, "It's not that I can't fight, but they have something that reminds me of the past. Let's hurry and leave this place." Laura then opened a dimensional door because The divine dimension was about to close. The Augustus dimension would be closed, which made the two demons escape into their own dimension. The scene cuts to the protagonist and Fu Yi, who were both battered after fighting. Their bodies were really beaten up, but it seemed that the one who was affected the most was. Because his body was very weak and he had to use his chi to stimulate the heart. The protagonist, seeing this, decided to inject his own chi into the heroine's body. But the protagonist refused because right now he didn't understand why the hero had to protect him when he thought of himself as worthless. But the hero didn't listen. The hero is unleashing his power into the heroine's body non-stop. After the hero finished unleashing his power, the heroine asked him again, "What do you really think of me?" Stop lying to me. You don't see me as a lowly human, do you? Because if you really do, then what does your behavior mean? You, the hero, who thinks you can protect the heroine now, even if we don't involve her, that demon will still. The hero then spoke the truth. The truth is, I like you. Yeah, the hero confessed. Fui also confessed that she likes the hero. The heroine, who was squirming like that, was blushing all over. Do you really like me? The heroine at this moment was a bit dazed. She didn't know if she was imagining things or not. So she asked Fui to say it again. Say it again, and made a cute face. The heroine, who was squirming like that, was really confused. Is this the right time to play around? We just escaped from being killed, and now you want me to say what? The hero was feeling down because he didn't know. The hero then said, if you want to prove it that much, then follow me. He dragged the heroine up to the rooftop of the hospital building, tied his hair back, and asked Su Yuan to dance. Su Yuan, surprised that the hero asked to dance, was confused. Is this an ancient ritual of your family? The hero said, oh, never mind, just dance. As they danced, the heroine heard the sound of bells. This made the hero understand why he asked to dance, because today is the festival day, and the demons believe that if you dance with someone at the festival, love will last forever, and we will be together until life ends. The heroine realized that Fu Yi inviting her to dance meant that their love was connecting and merging. This means that now they are a couple. The heroine was so happy that tears flowed down her face, and she asked, can I kiss you, Fu Yi? Fu Yi didn't hesitate, and they kissed amidst the falling snow. Oh, how romantic. Even though the hero is a bit tsundere, his way of confessing love is romantic. He wants her to be his wife. What will happen to their story next? Stay tuned for the next episode. Even though they might already be a couple, there is still one enemy lurking, always looking to attack the heroine. And they still can't figure out why the heroine is so important to them. Alright, everyone, after the couple sweetened up and agreed to be together, the heroine planned to take Fu Yi to recover in the hero's room. When the hero entered the heroine's room, he felt a headache because Fu Yi had used up a lot of energy. The protagonist, seeing that Fu Yi doesn't look so good, decides to let Fu Yi sleep in his bed. However, Fu Yi, thinking he would get to sleep in the bed with the protagonist on the day of their confession, has to control himself. I might accidentally do something bad, so the hero rejected Su Yuan and told him to rest. He said he might need to go wash up. And tomorrow, we'll meet again. You have to stay in my room now, you can't be alone anymore. The protagonist feels shy, thinking, oh, I get to stay in the room with Fu again tomorrow. It's like we're really a couple now. So, the protagonist hurried to sleep because he wanted to be in his husband's room. The scene then cuts to the next day, where the protagonist plans to. The friend, hearing this, doesn't understand where the protagonist is going. Right now, the school is the safest place. Are you going to escape from August and go to the human world? If you do that, who will help you? The protagonist then explains, oh, I'm not trying to escape from August, I'm just going to. The friend, hearing this, understands that the two of them must be a couple now. The friend is very happy because they had noticed from the beginning that these two seemed like But before going, the friend suggested something. The pink-haired one went to get a dildo for the protagonist and told him, demons can be very rough when they do things, so you need to warm up first. Choose whichever size you want. What do you think about his size? The protagonist felt very embarrassed because he wasn't alone. The friend, seeing Fui outside, was shocked, thinking, oh, they're talking about sizes right now. Fui then asked, what are you guys doing? Why are you talking for so long? Hurry up. The protagonist replied. The friend felt very embarrassed. Oh, I haven't given the dildo yet. I'll just send it to you by mail later. Then the scene cuts to the protagonist arriving at Fui's room. Fui saw that the protagonist had brought some snacks. So, the protagonist said, it's not snacks, it's a meal. When I don't feel like going to the cafeteria, I just sit and eat this. It's a protein bar. The hero, seeing this, immediately realized that Fui's thin and weak body wasn't due to the fox spirit but because he didn't eat proper meals. The hero pulled him close and said, no wonder you're so thin and weak. You should eat some food. What makes you not want to eat? Eat right now. The protagonist refused because he doesn't like eating much. The hero, seeing that the protagonist didn't seem to like it, was upset, wondering why he wouldn't eat. Well, he doesn't like it, he probably prefers a strong partner. The hero thought of ways to make the protagonist stronger or a bit chubbier, just in case something serious happens, so he can fight against the demons. The hero is just worried about him. After a while, the principal called the hero over. He told the hero that there was work for him to do. And he brought Su Yuan along. The hero told the protagonist not to pack up just yet. Let's meet the president first. When they met the president had some mission for the hero and the protagonist to do. The hero asked, what mission is it? It's very dangerous right now. The president said, I can't help you, you should know that the demon Gu Tiao is after Su Yuan. I think you know. The hero was completely shocked because he didn't expect everyone to know that the model was following the protagonist for some unknown reason, but the director knew, so she planned to give. Even though the heroine wasn't at fault. But the one who died. The one who will be redeemed. Even though you weren't the one who did it. I still want you to take on this mission. At least you can dedicate your spirit to those who have passed away. The protagonist thought he should do this because even though he wasn't the cause of the incident, he felt the need to do something to dedicate merit to. The hero was very displeased because this wasn't the protagonist's fault at all. The protagonist then asked, what do I have to do? The director replied that in the village of Xiongji, there was a mermaid, a demon mermaid, who might be the last of her kind and was disturbing humans. She wanted them to capture her alive and bring her to Augustus. That was your only task? The hero, seeing that the mission was outside the school, became even more displeased. In such a dangerous situation, sending humans out of the Augustus zone was something he disliked. But the protagonist said, all right, I'll do it, and the scene shifted to the two of them who had now arrived at the mermaid village. It's not actually called the mermaid village, but we'll refer to it as such. The entrance to the mermaid village was shrouded in thick fog. The hero warned the protagonist to be careful and to stay close to him, or else they would surely get lost in the dark fog. The protagonist then held the hero's hand. After walking for a while, they entered the village, bewildered, even though just moments ago the fog was so dense. The protagonist began to feel strange about this village, but it seemed very lively. After entering the village, the hero felt odd in his body, extremely fatigued, as if his energy was being drained continuously. Seeing this, the protagonist decided to find a room to rest. He asked some local kids if there were any rooms available for resting. A girl suggested, oh, there's a resort. How many rooms do you want, 2 or 1? The protagonist replied, just 1 room, because he was worried about the hero and thought it would be better to take care of each other. After both of them packed their things, they planned to rest for one night before searching for the mermaid the next day. The hero's condition had worsened even more in just 5 minutes. The protagonist thought that he might need to let him absorb some energy. But it's strange, he just had some, right? Why is it gone so quickly? The protagonist told the hero, if you can't handle it, you can absorb my energy first. Don't hold back. The hero's behavior changed. Usually, when the heroine suggested absorbing energy, he would refuse, but this time he seemed to crave it and moved closer to the heroine. He then pulled the protagonist to sit on his lap. The posture was incredibly suggestive. It was as if the two were about to. The hero held the protagonist's head and pulled his shoulders apart as if to expose his neck. It was as if he was going to bite. The protagonist, seeing the strange behavior about to absorb energy, felt shocked. The hero bared his fangs and bit down hard, almost tearing the protagonist's neck. The protagonist felt an intense pain. He endured it, but wondered why it hurt so much this time. Usually, it didn't hurt like this. Blood splattered all over the room. The hero bit down and sucked the blood, and the protagonist, unable to bear the pain, tried to hold the hero's head. The hero, regaining his senses, threw the heroine onto the headboard. Then she started to feel strange about herself. Once she regained her senses, she saw that the heroine was crying because she was in pain. This shocked Fui a lot because he never thought it would come back again. At that moment, Fui had controlled the power of human energy his entire life, but suddenly, he couldn't control himself anymore. Just now, Fui barely realized that he was biting the energy of the protagonist, which scared him a lot. He was afraid that he would become like his father. The protagonist noticed that Fui's behavior had changed and immediately understood that something must have happened to him. Even though I was in pain, What will happen now? The protagonist started to worry about Fui, not caring about himself, even though he was on the verge of collapse, just like in the previous episode after Fui bit Suyuan. Suyuan then asked Fui to go wash up, to wash off the blood. When Suyuan came in, Fui said, if I do that again, you can stab me with the knife you have. The protagonist didn't understand why the hero had to say this, even if it might be harsh. The protagonist went to comfort Fui, saying, maybe you're just tired. But please, don't act like you're a danger to me. I don't think it's like that. The protagonist moved closer to the hero. The hero was afraid he would hurt the protagonist again because earlier, he blamed himself. The protagonist told him not to blame himself, saying, I think there must be a way to fix this. You've never been like this before, and you just became this way. There must be something in the mermaid village, so don't overthink it. The hero nodded, but inside he still felt guilty, afraid he would hurt the protagonist. The protagonist said, trust me, we will find a way to fix this. Let's take it one step at a time and help each other, okay? The hero agreed, and then he sat the protagonist on his lap, hugging and kissing him. Then the scene shifted to the morning, where the protagonist and the hero planned to gather information about where the mermaid demon was. The protagonist intended to ask the resort owner for information, but suddenly the owner changed from a woman to a man with white hair. The protagonist asked, are you the owner of the resort? The young man with white hair replied, yes, I am the owner of the resort. What do you need? The heroine was confused, thinking, but yesterday it was a woman, wasn't it? Strange. The protagonist thought he might be confused, so he asked, where do the camellia flowers bloom the most? He got a clue from the flowers. He felt that since entering the village, there was one thing that felt the strangest to him, the flowers. This type of flower shouldn't grow in a village with this level of humidity or soil, so why could these flowers grow? The heroine asked the resort owner where these flowers could be found the most. The resort owner replied, oh, they are in the basin in the middle of the sea. Try walking there, but be careful, it's very foggy there. The protagonist agreed. As the protagonist and Fui walked to the center of the forest, they stumbled upon a lake. However, Fui's appearance had changed once again. The protagonist immediately realized that Fui must be hungry for blood again, so they needed to hurry with their mission and leave this place. The protagonist knew that something strange must be happening in this village, so they quickly searched for clues. After a while, they found a large scale. The protagonist picked it up and realized that this scale didn't belong to an ordinary fish, it must be a mermaid scale. The protagonist intended to show it to Fui, but when they turned around, Fui had disappeared. Suddenly, vines wrapped around the protagonist, pulling them underwater. As they sank, a man's voice said, "I've got you now. Finally, I can have a full meal." The scene cut to the protagonist, who suddenly found themselves being pulled up from the water by another man, Fui. Fui intended to perform CPR on the protagonist because, after pulling them up, the protagonist didn't hesitate to get out of the forest because Fui felt that the atmosphere around them was very strange, and they didn't want to stay there any longer. The protagonist thought it was for the best, they shouldn't stay there. So, they led Fui out of the forest, but no matter how far they walked, they always ended up back where they started, as if the forest didn't want them to leave. Fui began to feel anxious. Right now, Fui was restless, trying to sniff out a direction but couldn't do so. "These herbs are blocking my sense of smell," Fui said. The protagonist told Fui to calm down, but Fui was extremely anxious because they feared they might hurt the protagonist again. Fui accidentally walked ahead, and the protagonist told them to wait. However, in just a moment, both of them got lost. The protagonist blinked once, and Fui was gone. The protagonist entered a hidden dimension, which was a place where outsiders couldn't enter, and only mermaids could open the door to this dimension. The protagonist had already slipped inside. Fui, who had walked for a while, felt that they were moving too fast and might lose the protagonist. When they turned around, they found Suyuan panting. Suyuan told Fui to wait for them. Feeling uneasy about Suyuan, Fui asked, "Why didn't you come to me?" Suyuan walked closer to the protagonist, but when Fui got near, they couldn't smell Suyuan at all, even though they were so close. This made Fui grab Suyuan and pin them against a tree, asking, "Who are you?" Suyuan was confused, saying, "It's me, Suyuan, your girlfriend." But the protagonist didn't believe them because the scent was not right. It smelled like a lowly demon. The protagonist planned to use foxfire to burn them alive if they didn't accept the truth. Soon after, that young man revealed his true form, which turned out to be the owner of the resort the protagonist had encountered. The protagonist asked, "Where have you hidden him?" The resort owner didn't answer because that young man was destined to be the mermaid's food, he hadn't eaten anything for a long time. The scene cut back to the protagonist in the hidden dimension, where they encountered the real resort owner, who was being gnawed on by bushes and flowers. The protagonist began to deduce the situation. This forest was actually a man-eating forest, likely an illusion created by the mermaid. It was no wonder Fui disliked this forest, it was because their spirit was being deceived. The protagonist thought of a way to escape this dimension, but before they knew it, they fell into the water, and the scene revealed that the demon mermaid had emerged. It was a male demon mermaid who, upon catching the scent of the protagonist, felt an intense thirst for blood. Never before had they encountered a human with such an enticing scent. "I will eat you," the demon mermaid said, biting into the protagonist's neck, leaving it severely wounded. The protagonist, who was thinking of a way to escape, noticed that the demon mermaid was enjoying their blood. The protagonist took the dagger that the doctor had given them. This dagger was special, if a demon was stabbed with it, their healing would slow down. The protagonist then stabbed the mermaid in the neck. The mermaid, who was stabbed, caused the dimension she created to shake. This meant that the dimension she created was overlapping with the dimension of reality. The protagonist, catching the scent of the heroine, quickly followed the opening. When the protagonist entered the hidden dimension, they rushed to help the protagonist from the demon mermaid's attack. The demon mermaid, now injured and unable to heal itself, realized that fighting directly wouldn't work. Although they were a mermaid, they were a very weak race, and their strength lay in creating illusions. The mermaid decided to wrap herself in vines and create a new illusionary dimension. The mermaid used the vines to entangle both of them and sank them into the water of the illusionary dimension. After Su Yuan and Fu Yi regained consciousness, it turned out that Fu Yi had taken on a new form. The mermaid decided to wrap herself in vines and create a new magical dimension. She used the vines to bind both of them, and their roots sank into the water of the magical dimension. After Su Yuan and Fu Yi regained consciousness, it turned out that Fu Yi was now in a different form. Fu Yi couldn't understand how this could happen and why Su Yuan was still in the normal form of the protagonist. It felt really cute. She had never seen him as a child before. The protagonist was smiling, but right now, the hero didn't feel good at all. She was very scared, worried that she wouldn't be able to protect him. Moreover, if Su Yuan's fox heart acted up, who would give him power? The hero was extremely anxious about what was happening. It was necessary after Fu Yi transformed into a child fox. The protagonist and the hero explored the ocean of the illusionary world together. After a while, the vines started attacking Fu Yi because they seemed to have caught the scent of blood. The vines pierced through Fu Yi's legs, making it impossible for her to walk. Seeing this, the protagonist planned to carry Fu Yi. Fu Yi, realizing she was going to be a burden to the protagonist, told him to leave her behind and that he should escape. There should be a dimensional gap not far away. The protagonist didn't understand why Fu Yi insisted on him letting go when they came together. But Fu Yi insisted, saying she was being a hindrance and didn't want him to die like her. The protagonist ignored her and held on tighter. The protagonist shouted at Fu Yi, telling her to trust him and stop thinking of him as weak. Even though he might look weak and frail, he had always ranked first in physical fitness. Although his body seemed weak, he had the strength to climb, so carrying a little one like her didn't scare him at all. Su Yuan held onto Fu Yi tightly and took her to the center of the world. Upon reaching the center of the illusionary world, the protagonist and the hero saw that the mermaid was there, healing. This had to be the way out. The protagonist planned to climb to wake the mermaid, but while he was about to do so, the vines shot through both their bodies. However, Su Yuan absorbed all of it, meaning that now Su Yuan was pierced by the vines. After being stabbed, Su Yuan told Fu Yi to survive and pleaded with her. Then Su Yuan died. The hero, witnessing Su Yuan die before his eyes, felt confused. He didn't know what to do. Something he didn't want to happen had happened. He couldn't believe it occurred sooner than he thought, and the scene shifted to Fu Yi's thoughts. Fu Yi had once imagined that Su Yuan would live a normal life like a human and be happy without any troubles. But ultimately, she would live longer than him. He would have to die someday because the fox heart didn't grant him life for that long. This was one reason why the hero hesitated to confess his love to the protagonist. He was afraid to confess because he already knew what would happen in the future. The fox heart he gave Su Yuan wouldn't last long. In a few decades, Su Yuan would have to die. Could he truly accept that? Would he be willing to be happy for just a moment and suffer for a lifetime? The hero was most afraid of Su Yuan dying, but he couldn't believe that this was happening sooner than he thought because now Su Yuan was dead. The hero, having nothing to lose, unleashed his chi power to destroy the illusionary world. This power came at a cost, but the details weren't revealed yet. The story zoomed in on the hero's heart, meaning that this explosion of power might mean. It meant that now the hero had only one heart left to keep him alive. This explosion of chi caused the illusionary world of the mermaid to collapse. The hero saw an opening. He planned to escape, but then he thought, why escape? To encounter what? To face emptiness. Returning home meant fulfilling the duties his father expected him to inherit. But he didn't want to do that at all because he didn't want to kill anyone. Where could he go? If he went out, he wouldn't find anyone. He had no friends at all, only Su Yuan, whom he knew. So he decided to die alongside her. Fui thought this way and decided to lie beside Su Yuan's corpse and die with this illusionary world. This might be a way to avoid suffering in life. If I die with him, everything will end. Fui decided to die alongside Su Yuan's body. Then the scene flashed back to when Fui was interested in Su Yuan. Fui was very interested in Su Yuan but didn't dare to speak up since that day Su Yuan woke them up to check attendance. That was the day she started to take an interest in him. She never thought they would come this far, but she was very happy to live in Augustus School with him. If possible, she wished to. Or in real life, she wished her soul could return to meet him again. Please, she begged. This was her last wish before Fu Yi and Su Yuan died. Suddenly, the scene cut to the real world, revealing that what had just happened was merely Fu Yi's illusion. The mermaid had created a world for both of them. The protagonist encountered his world, and the hero found his world. The hero, awakening from the illusion, saw the protagonist hanging from the vines and quickly used his spirit fire to melt the vines. The hero, hearing the protagonist's heartbeat, smelling him, and seeing his tears, immediately knew that this was the real Su Yuan. Su Yuan wasn't dead at all, which made Fu Yi very happy. Fu Yi was overjoyed and tears streamed down her face because she didn't want her beloved to die. Fu Yi rushed to hug the protagonist and kiss him passionately as if they both would die in 10 minutes. This kiss was incredibly intense. Su Yuan, witnessing this. It was clear that this was the real Su Yuan. Su Yuan wasn't dead, which made Fu Yi incredibly happy. Tears streamed down his face because he didn't want his partner to die. Fu Yi rushed to hug the protagonist and kissed him passionately, as if they would die in 10 minutes. This kiss was incredibly intense. Su Yuan, seeing this. When we kissed, I didn't understand what was happening. Fu Yi then told the protagonist to stay still for just a moment while I do this. And the two of them kissed, their tongues intertwining passionately. The protagonist noticed that Fu Yi was starting to go too far. I mean, we're going to die here, let's stop for a moment. The hero snapped back to reality. That's right, it's not the right time for the protagonist. The protagonist said, I'm the one who blew up the illusionary world. After the illusionary world shattered, we found ourselves in the real world. The protagonist noticed that Fu Yi was covered in fox-like veins. It was as if Fu Yi's heart had extinguished another light. The protagonist asked, is it true that you destroyed this world because you blew up your own heart? The hero remained silent, and seeing this, the protagonist felt worried. After a while, a spirit appeared and passed through the protagonist. This spirit was the soul of the resort owner. The owner, with white hair, made the protagonist follow the spirit. Once they followed, the spirit revealed the truth that the owner and the mermaid had once been lovers in their childhood. Before they knew each other, the mermaid had escaped from a mermaid hunt and met this owner. The owner's family business, which had been passed down, deteriorated. It was revealed that the owner was not the biological child of her parents but rather an adopted child, and her parents were considering selling her for money because their family situation had become dire. The owner fell ill for unknown reasons, and the doctor had said her vision might blur in 20 years. Suddenly, her vision blurred, and now the owner could see nothing. Her sister, seeing this, planned to find medicine to help her brother, but the owner said, it's fine, I don't want to live anymore, and then the owner fainted. The sister saw that while the owner was unconscious, she was holding on to something that looked like a scale, so she thought about trying to sell it to get money for medicine for her brother. When the owner woke up and saw the scale was gone, with medicine on the table, she was confused about what had happened. The sister said, I sold those scales and got quite a bit of money. Where did you get them? Go find more so we can get rich and help our parents. Everyone in the village is looking for that kind of stone right now. Where did you find it? Tell me. The owner, realizing her sister said everyone in the village was searching, feared it might affect the mermaid, so she hurried to the pond to check if the mermaid was okay. But she was too late. The mermaid had been captured by the villagers, stabbed in the shoulder, and they were cutting off her tail to take the scales. This caused the mermaid immense suffering. The mermaid, seeing the owner, pleaded for help, but the owner couldn't go in because everyone was holding her back and trying to pull the scales from the mermaid's tail. This nearly caused the mermaid to die from the pain, as she couldn't endure it any longer. After that day, the owner and the mermaid never saw each other again because the mermaid was captured for experimentation to see if they could breed and sell the scales. However, it turned out that this was not possible. The experimenters deemed the mermaid useless and threw her into the ocean. 10 years passed. Now, the owner was completely blind and could see nothing, but fortunately, her sister took care of her. Every evening, the sister would wait for the mermaid by the lake where they first met, doing this every 10 years until one night, the owner heard the sound of water vibrating, like the swish of a tail. The owner asked, "Is that you? You've come back, right?" The mermaid saw that the owner was now completely blind and could see nothing. She felt very sad that she couldn't be there to take care of the owner. She felt very sad that she couldn't be there to take care of the boss. The mermaid never blamed the old man for this at all. "It's my fault for stubbornly wanting to stay. Because I love you, mermaid, I've cried and swore to the old man that I would make you see again. I promised that we would return to live our dream life together. I swear I won't let you suffer," which led the mermaid to use her magical powers to create a dream world. Creating it requires a lot of the mermaid's power, which means she had to find a way to gain strength. But the mermaid didn't want to eat people because she wasn't a man-eating monster. However, she had to do it too, otherwise, she wouldn't be able to stay with the old man. In the world of illusions, it allowed the old man to return to being a child again, and he could see everything in the mermaid's illusion world. But even though the mermaid created the world, she didn't enter it herself. In the end, the mermaid was capturing humans to eat outside, but she trapped the old man's soul in her illusion world. The protagonist and the love interest witnessed the mermaid's memories and saw how she had to endure suffering. But in the end, the mermaid still did wrong just because of love, even to the point of killing others. It was a useless love, and you were foolish. The protagonist was very displeased. After Fu Yi and Su Yuan came out of the dream world, the protagonist took Su Yuan to the center to find the mermaid so they could finally end this and get out of here. The love interest saw the mermaid in her current state, which was very dry due to a lack of spiritual power. Seeing this made the love interest feel very bad, thinking, "I don't know what I should do. I don't know if I should kill her." After a while, the old man took a knife intending to cut the love interest's throat to give the power to the mermaid to eat, but the love interest managed to dodge. The protagonist then kicked the old man into a tree, nearly killing him. The heroine then said, "Don't hurt him. I think it will end soon. Because right now, the mermaid's power is running out. I can't feel him at all." The old man saw that the illusion sickness had been opened and wondered if the mermaid was dead. Suddenly, the mermaid pulled the old man closer with vines. The old man thought the mermaid must be very hungry, so he said, "Just eat me, at least you." But the mermaid didn't eat him. She brought the old man close and hugged him. The old man asked, "Why don't you eat? If you have life and can escape from here, you can still live. Let me go, I'm no longer useful. Thank you for creating everything for the past 10. That's enough. Just eat me." The mermaid cried and said, "How can I eat when if you leave, my life has no meaning? I just want to be with you." The mermaid then hugged the old man tightly, and she finally died because her power was exhausted. The old man, seeing this, cried out and called the mermaid by her real name, which was Snow. The old man didn't want to be alone anymore because he feared loneliness. So he decided to die with the mermaid. The old man sank the mermaid's body down to the bottom of the sea and followed her down. The protagonist, seeing this, understood the feeling. because I had thought of doing the same before. Then the scene cut to the two of them leaving the village. But since it was nighttime, there were no cars to return to the city. The protagonist decided to rent a hotel and find a place to sleep before continuing the journey tomorrow. Wash off all the blood so the journey can be easier. Once inside the room, the love interest felt very tired. While the love interest was about to take off his shirt, the protagonist suddenly grabbed him and said, "Wait, I'll take it off for you." Su Yuan, hearing this, couldn't believe it. Does he want to do something? This made the love interest think that maybe Fui wanted to have sex with him. Previously, Fui planned to take off the love interest's shirt and take a shower together. When Fui took off his shirt, it turned out that the love interest was covered in wounds, and blood was flowing. Seeing this, Fui asked, "Why didn't you tell me to heal? Why do you have to endure this?" The love interest didn't want to use the protagonist's power anymore because he felt that he was already a burden. Besides, these wounds could heal on their own, there was no need for treatment. The protagonist really didn't understand why the love interest was saying this. So the protagonist forced the love interest to wash up, saying, "I'll lick your wounds for you." But Su Yuan refused. The protagonist then asked Su Yuan, "Are you scared? You saw the monster, and you're scared of me, right? Do you feel afraid of me now?" The love interest thought the protagonist was thinking about something else, so he decided to stop that thought and said, "I'm not scared at all. I just don't want to be a burden to you anymore." The love interest laughed because earlier he had said that they would get through this together. But suddenly, I started thinking like this. I think I've become a burden. I'm sorry. If it weren't for me, you wouldn't be in so much pain, right? Fui didn't want to feel this way anymore. Fui didn't want to feel this way anymore. She then picked up the protagonist and took the protagonist to the sofa. Then, "I'll take care of your wounds after you finish showering." After the protagonist finished showering, Fui came to lick the wounds of the protagonist. I don't know if this is a healing method of the black fox or not. It seems that saliva can help heal wounds. The hero licked all over the protagonist's body. This made the protagonist feel a bit strange. The protagonist had never felt this way before either. The hero noticed that Su Yuan had a strange expression while licking. So, he asked if the protagonist didn't like it. "If you don't like it, just tell me to stop." The protagonist quickly denied and said that he liked it very much. The protagonist felt something happening within himself. Since we're already a couple, I wonder if I should try something like that. The protagonist leaned in to kiss Fui but didn't ask Fui for intercourse. Instead, the protagonist used a method of being affectionate to make Fui feel sexual desire. Seeing the protagonist's behavior made Fui feel very aroused, so he told the protagonist that, "You know how I feel." The protagonist then straightforwardly said that he felt the same way and thought they shouldn't torture each other any longer. "Right now, I'm suffering too much. I think we should do something together," the protagonist then boldly suggested. For Fui to have intercourse with him. Fui asked the protagonist if he was really okay with it. "Your body's injured, are you really okay?" The protagonist replied that it was nothing, it didn't hurt at all. Fui, who was struggling, then transformed into a human. And she started to take off the protagonist's shirt. But before she could take it all off, the protagonist asked why she transformed into a human. "You can do it while in your black fox form too, you know." The protagonist said that in the black fox form, it would be too intense, and as a human, I think it would suit you better. The heroine, hearing that Fui is very worried about us, hugged Fui and told him, "If you want to take any form, just do it. I can handle it all." That night, the two of them had intercourse for the first time, and after they finished, our protagonist fell fast asleep. However, Fui, who just had something with the protagonist, felt strange about himself. It was as if the more they did this, the more worried he became about what might happen to him in the future. Suddenly, Fui started to cry. Because right now, it felt like she was tying her heart to the protagonist 100%. I can't escape from him, even though I know that one day he will have to die. Why do I still choose this? Fui secretly envied the mermaid demon who got to die before the one they loved. Because he probably wouldn't feel pain, and she envied those two who could be together until the very last moment. But for me, if it were me, could I endure it if one day Suyuan had to leave me? The protagonist walked outside, as if she was going out to cry. The scene then cut to the protagonist, who wasn't asleep yet. He saw Fui crying and started to cry too. Suddenly, he felt a pain in his heart, as if it was starting to malfunction. The protagonist held his heart and tried to force himself to sleep because it hurt too much to bear. The scene then cut to the next morning, where the protagonist made hot milk with 2 packets of sugar for the hero since he was taking a shower. After the hero finished showering, he came out not fully dressed, as he hadn't buttoned his shirt. The protagonist, seeing his husband's figure, felt shy because even though they had been intimate last night, it wasn't clear since the lights were off. The protagonist fumbled a bit. She then said, "I boiled hot milk with 2 packets of sugar. I hope you like it." The hero replied that he would probably like it and asked to taste it. When the hero tasted it, he noticed that the heroine's face was flushed, so he reached out to touch her face, only to find that she was burning up. The hero then asked, "Hey, you have a fever. Why didn't you tell me?" "I knew it. In the end, you really do have a fever. You were out in the cold water for so long. Hurry and take some medicine." The protagonist then said, "Oh, okay. I'll go find somewhere to sleep." But in reality, she wasn't sick, she was just flustered by her husband's figure. Because a husband with such a hot body is real, and that's the protagonist. The hero then called Shonan because she was a human friend, so that he would know what kind of medicine to take since the hero wasn't sure what to buy. The friend, seeing that the protagonist had woken up, went to check her temperature. "Wow, you really are hot. What happened?" they asked each other. The protagonist then whispered, "I'm not sick, but I got it from my husband. Last night, I might have a fever because of what he did." The friend, hearing this, was confused and said, "I told you to use a dildo first. Even though the demon size is similar to a human, the strength is completely different. We can't handle it. I told you to use a dildo." The protagonist then told him to be quiet because he was eavesdropping. The friend then said, "Okay, I'll just lie and say you really have a fever. When we get back to the university, I'll bring you a dildo. So you won't have to be sick again." The protagonist thanked his friend for covering for him because getting sick from being intimate was indeed real. After that, the hero came to the protagonist and asked how she was feeling. "Are you better?" The protagonist replied, "Oh, in just a few minutes, I should be fine. But before we go back to school in the next 2 weeks, I want you to visit my mom, okay? Can you come to my house with me? Because I want to go home." The hero hesitated a bit and said, "Going to your house? Let me think about it." The hero then mentioned that he would prepare himself because he would meet his mother-in-law again. He didn't know what would happen this time. And back to the previous story, everyone. After Suyuan planned to take Fui to meet his mother, even though Fui had met Suyuan's mother before, this time it was special because they were now a couple. She was very excited. The heroine, seeing Fui, asked, "Are you excited or worried? Are you afraid my mom won't accept you?" The hero laughed. He laughed to cover up his feelings and said, "What is there to be afraid of? We don't have to tell her that we're dating. There's no rush to tell her, it's not necessary at all." The main character chuckled because it seemed like he was intentionally trying to tell his mom that this person is his boyfriend. Then the scene cuts to the two of them arriving at the main character's mother's house, where she had just come back with a lot of groceries and asked her son, "Where is it?" The main character then brought Fui to meet her. The mother, upon seeing Fuyi's face, was shocked and stunned. But the reason for her reaction hasn't been explained yet. The mother planned to invite Fuyi to have sukiyaki together because she had bought a lot today. Fuyi agreed, and the mother served him a full plate of sukiyaki and also gave some to her own child. The two of them found it hilarious that the mother had made so much. But if they didn't eat, it would go to waste. Then the scene cuts to after both of them had finished eating. The mother decided to wash the dishes. Fuyi then said, why do you have to wash the dishes? I can do it myself. The mother replied, oh, you're a guest, dear. It's fine, I'll wash them myself. Just a little bit, it's okay, Fu. After a moment, the mother said, do you know that Su Yuan mentioned he would bring someone special home today? Hearing this, Fuyi realized that Su Yuan must have already told her that he was his boyfriend. Fuyi then asked his mother, do you think it's okay? Do you think it's appropriate for us? The mother laughed and said, how can I know? Even when I thought I chose the right person, love can still go wrong. Love doesn't have a set definition of what's right. This is the first time Su Yuan has asked me to accept someone important to him. It's the first time that kid has ever asked me for anything. Since he was little, he never asked for anything from me, which means Fuyi must be really important to him. If that's the case, there's nothing for me to worry about. I just hope that if you two have any issues, you talk to each other and don't leave each other behind. If you feel you're facing a problem, don't bear it alone. It will help preserve the feelings of love between you. Do you understand what I'm saying? Fuyi agreed and promised the mother that he would take good care of Su Yuan. Su Yuan was secretly listening, and upon seeing that the mother accepted Fuyi, he felt relieved. The scene cuts to nighttime, where the two of them are sitting together, flirting. After a while, the main character asked, how was your conversation with my mom? The main character replied, you didn't even let me prepare. I can't help but laugh because I told you not to tease me. I believe my mom will definitely accept it because since I was little, I've always told her everything. Even if I didn't ask her, I like to speak the truth. I don't want to hide anything from her, I believe she will. The hero saw that the main character was still talking without consulting him and couldn't help but give him a playful bite on the neck. The main character, noticing the hero biting his neck, asked, what are you doing? The hero told the main character to be quiet, shoo, or my mom will hear. Then he started to reach into the main character's shirt. And then he touched his nipple. The main character, seeing that the hero was about to get too touchy, said, if I scream and my mom hears, I'll be embarrassed for 10 years. I don't want my mom to know that we are doing this. The hero then said, but isn't this exciting? Just don't make any loud noises, or my mom will hear. Just keep it down, or mom will hear. Then the main character took the blanket. The type of blanket, and both of them were cuddling under it, making it hard for the protagonist to breathe, so he pulled his head out and told the main character to stop playing like this because he couldn't breathe. He suggested saving it for later with August. The protagonist couldn't hold back and agreed. The main character noticed that lately, the protagonist had been very gentle, and she liked it a lot. It made her feel that he was expressing his feelings for her a lot, even though they were already dating. But Fuyi still tended to keep things to himself. But since he met the mermaid demon, he had changed. He seemed like a different person. He was both funny and reckless, kind, loved to hug, and liked to kiss her. It felt like he was truly a different person. I want to keep these feelings. I don't want Fuyi to lose his identity like this. I wonder if he will go back to being the old Fuyi. The main character thought to herself that she wanted Fuyi to stay like this forever. Then the scene shifted back to the two of them returning to August. Fuyi told the main character that he didn't want her to go back to August at all. Because Fuyi felt that the chairman wanted to use him for some benefit, he didn't want her to go there. He was afraid she would get hurt. The main character replied that if she didn't go there, where else could she go? Right now, there was nowhere else to go. The protagonist, who was struggling, felt down too because he had nowhere to go either. If he were to suggest going back to his family, he had just escaped from there. So the protagonist reluctantly agreed. Anyway, the main character had to finish her studies at August and then go live her life. Su Yuan, seeing that Fu Yi looked stressed again, planned to help him relax. Since it was spring, the flowers were vibrant. The main character then asked a nearby woman to take a picture. "I want to keep this as a memory." The woman agreed. The main character then told Fu Yi that they should take a picture together. "I want to keep the memory of this moment." The protagonist agreed, and the two of them took pictures. About a week passed, and now the main character was at August, studying as usual. Today, she planned to visit Fu Yi, remembering that he was in the infirmary. But just as she was about to knock on the infirmary door, she heard the doctor talking to Fu Yi about his heart, saying that Fu Yi's heart was currently malfunctioning and there was a high chance that if he used more power, he might die. The main character was shocked to hear that. Fu Yi then asked the doctor what to do. The doctor replied that right now, he didn't have much heart left. There was a way to treat it, which was to restore his heart completely. At least if he could maintain 2 fox hearts, his body wouldn't keep breaking down like this. Right now, his body was cracking from the inside, and his spirit couldn't heal his body. He needed to find a way to restore his heart. The protagonist, who was struggling, was shocked. How could he restore it when one heart had already disintegrated and the other was with Su Yuan? He couldn't bring it back because if he did, Su Yuan would have to die. He absolutely couldn't allow that. Then the scene shifted to the protagonist's room, where he entered and saw Su Yuan sitting sadly. Su Yuan said, "Oh, I just washed my hair, and the shampoo got in my eyes, so they're red." "It's nothing." The protagonist then asked to take a look. When he did, Su Yuan kissed him, and the protagonist intended to dry his hair since it was still wet. But he felt something was off. Why did Su Yuan look like that? Then the scene shifted to nighttime. The protagonist wanted to tell the main character that the director had given him some work to do, but he didn't want her to go with him because he was afraid something might happen. He wanted her to wait for him here. The main character, who was struggling, replied that it was fine. But in her heart, she felt uneasy. Because the main character felt that she was being a problem for him. Am I being a burden to him? The main character felt very bad. Plus, why has the director been using Su Yuan for strange tasks lately? As if he wanted him to lure something. The main character started to lose confidence in the director. Let's go. And in the previous chapter, after Fu Yi completed his mission, Su Yuan was left alone. Su Yuan would have to be alone for about 4 to 5 days. Once he was on his own, Su Yuan thought he needed to do something. So, he went to find Theodore to regain his memories. The reason Su Yuan wanted his memories back was that he began to feel that he might be connected to Augustus from his childhood. Otherwise, he wouldn't be able to enter certain places. Perhaps my father has demon blood. If that's really the case, I hope that knowing the truth this time will help Fu Yi, and I will return my heart to him. That is the protagonist's goal. When the protagonist went to see Theodore, it turned out that Theodore was currently at an engagement ceremony, which was a family engagement, a fake engagement. Theodore then asked the protagonist why he was there, and the protagonist told Theodore that he wanted his memories back. Theodore didn't understand why the protagonist wanted to regain his memories. The protagonist replied, "Yes." Theodore, who was covered in the scent of a black fox, realized that the protagonist had already given himself to the black fox. Theodore was very displeased. So, Theodore confronted the protagonist. He asked the protagonist why he had to go and be with it. "I really don't understand you." The protagonist didn't understand why Theodore was throwing such a fit. After a moment, blood started to flow from Theodore's mouth. Theodore didn't understand how blood could come out when his heart wasn't beating. He began to suspect something was wrong. Suddenly, there were sounds of commotion in the hall. Theodore went to check and brought the protagonist along. When they opened the door, it turned out that all the vampire-like creatures were dead, which was quite confusing. Theodore said, "It must be the eye poison. We must have been attacked." The heroine noticed Theodore's neck. It turned out that Theodore was also affected by the eye poison. Theodore coughed up blood. Blood from Theodore. Theodore then told the protagonist to escape quickly from his dimension. The protagonist replied, "I can't leave you. I haven't regained my memories yet, and besides, you're my friend. Let's go together." Theodore then told his subordinate to take the protagonist and escape because the dimension was likely to be sealed. If they tried to exit normally, they probably wouldn't be able to. So, he instructed the protagonist to go underground before things got worse. The subordinate agreed. But when they reached the first door, the subordinate told the protagonist to keep walking straight. "Then you will be able to get out of this castle. But I need to go in first. I have to help my lord." The protagonist agreed. "I have to go help my lord." The protagonist agreed. The protagonist plans to quickly escape from here because something has happened. Meanwhile, Theodore insists on staying because he needs to clear things up. The scene shifts to Theodore fighting the one who released the illusionary poison, which turns out to be someone from the Theodore family. Theodore doesn't understand why she is doing this, so he decides to kill her. However, being a vampire, no matter how he decapitates her, she won't die. Even if her body is incomplete, it doesn't mean she is dead. After a moment, the vampire woman laughs and says that her plan has succeeded. Soon, Theodore's subordinate begins to dissolve into blood because their leader has died, and so the subordinate dies as well. Theodore feels that the situation is completely tangled and doesn't understand what's happening, but he knows he must help his subordinate first. He plans to transfuse his own blood to his subordinate so that they can survive and the blood will reveal the truth. They had a romantic relationship before, but one was a subordinate and the other a royal, which made their status very different, leading to reasons they couldn't continue liking each other. However, Theodore's subordinate still has feelings for him. Theodore decides to save this subordinate because, even though he doesn't love her much, she is important to him, and he won't let her die. The scene shifts to the protagonist who is fleeing down to the basement to escape from this castle. The heroine feels a strange heat in her heart, her body starts to feel oddly warm again. This feeling is just like when she came out of the ballroom. Suddenly, her body feels hot, and she can't concentrate. "Don't tell me I've been affected by the illusionary poison too. But I'm human, isn't the illusionary poison meant to kill only?" The protagonist starts to feel anxious. Now, he must keep his composure and try to get out of this castle. As he continues down, he finds that the exit is blocked by overlapping dimensions, meaning he can't leave the castle at all. He thinks of a way to break through the barrier. The heroine remembers that she has a knife from the director with her. Maybe this knife can destroy the demon's dimension. She takes the knife and starts stabbing at the barrier. Ugh, it's not working at all. The protagonist doesn't understand why it isn't working, so he thinks about trying to stab himself to make the spell stronger. Just as he is about to cut his hand, the hero suddenly appears. Fui is very confused about why the protagonist is here, and the protagonist is equally confused about how Fui got here. Fui says, "It's part of my plan. I came to patrol." "How did you end up here? You should be in your room, right?" The protagonist remains silent because he doesn't want to talk much, knowing that if he does, it will. The hero thinks of a way to get the protagonist out of that dimension. He tells his patrolling friend, "Please lend me your power. Do whatever it takes to help." The friend replies, "That's easy. I'll send you my power, and you just smash it." While Fui and his friend are about to break the mirror dimension, the protagonist notices something. "Wait a minute, how did those two get here?" The protagonist warns Fui to be careful because those two look strange. But before he can finish his sentence, those two suddenly stab their spider legs into Fu Yi's friend's neck, piercing through. The protagonist shouts for Fu Yi and asks, "Are you okay?" Fu Yi looks at those two friends and realizes that the woman is a black widow spider or a spider demon. In the previous scene, after Fu Yi was stabbed through the heart by the spider demon, the protagonist asks Fu Yi if he is alright. Fu Yi transforms into his black fox form and eliminates the little spider demons. The protagonist sees Fu Yi struggling against the spiders. He plans to help. The protagonist uses his own blood. He stabs at the barrier. The barrier is indeed about to break. Normally, hardly any demon can break through this barrier, because it is a barrier meant to seal demons. But why can the protagonist do it? The hero is secretly confused for a moment. Then, the protagonist is suddenly grabbed by someone, and that someone is the guy with the bowl haircut, the one who created this dimension. The protagonist asks, "What do you want from me? Let Fu Yi go right now." The bowl-haired guy replies, "I'm not letting go because both of you are useful." But why was the protagonist able to do this? The hero, who saw this, was confused for a moment. The protagonist was then captured by someone, which was that guy with the buzz cut, the one who created this dimension. The protagonist asked, "What do you want from me? Let Fu Yi go right now." The buzz cut guy replied, "No way. Do you realize that you are half demon?" The heroine, who is struggling, is shocked. The heroine, who was struggling, surprised him. "So I asked what you know about me. That guy with the ball haircut said that your dad must be that person for sure because normally the ghost family doesn't have many members. Maybe you are a half-ghost, but it's such a pity that besides your blood, you don't have any of your father's powers. You're a child who turned out to be completely useless, born imperfectly." Our main character is in shock, realizing that he is a half-blood from the ghost family, but he has never heard of this family before, the family from August school. It's an ancient family, and if I really am a half-ghost, then why didn't anything happen to me when I was exposed to the illusion potion at August school? If I have half of a golden-haired demon in me, then the illusion potion is made from ghost blood. Your body probably reacted to it, but you might have had some symptoms because, in the end, it is a poison. You finally understand why, on the day of the August school event, when exposed to the illusion poison, you felt hot for no reason. So I really am a half-demon. Fu Yi broke through the dimensional wall to come in because the dimension was cracked. Fu Yi hurried in to find him. Once inside, it turned out that the main character had already been slashed in the throat by that guy with the ball haircut. Fu Yi didn't understand why this was happening. The guy with the ball haircut said that he needed his blood anyway, he had to die. The main character was about to perish because his blood was flowing out, almost completely. He then told Fu Yi to run away and not listen to what he said. Seeing that the main character still had breath, Fu Yi told that demon with the ball haircut that if he wanted something, just take it. The demon with the ball haircut planned to negotiate, so he used ice crystals to stop the blood from flowing out of Su Yuan, preventing him from dying too quickly. The main character asked what he wanted, and the demon with the ball haircut said he wanted his heart, to trade his heart for Su Yuan's life. If the main character gave his heart this time, it meant he would still die. The main character decided that he would trade his heart for Su Yuan's life. While the demon with the ball haircut was walking over to take the main character's heart, Su Yuan stood up and asked if he could talk to him one last time. The demon with the ball haircut was confused about why it had to be the last time when he still had many hearts left, taking just one wouldn't kill him. The main character pleaded with the demon, and seeing the innocent look on his face, the demon agreed. The main character asked how he was doing, that he was okay, right? The main character knelt down and asked why he had to do that. He said, "I love you, and I have to do this." The main character said, "But you know, if you do this, you'll die." The main character here cried out and asked when he found out. The main character replied that he knew since the moment he talked to the white snake teacher, and it seemed like he didn't know that the other heart was with him. If he just captured him, he would have both. The main character told him to run away because he had already agreed with the demon, but the main character said no, that this time he wouldn't run away anymore, and he hoped he would understand him. Suddenly, Su Yuan stood up and jumped into the vampire's blood pool. If he jumped into such a boiling pool, there was only one outcome: Su Yuan would have to die. Everyone was confused about what was happening. The main character was even more confused. Seeing that the main character had just committed suicide, he broke down crying. The demon with the ball haircut was even more shocked because why did Su Yuan suddenly kill himself? But it wasn't necessary because he already had his blood, he just needed a drop or two. The demon with the ball haircut reached for Fu Yi's heart, but because the fox's heart, upon seeing the one it loved die, seemed to gain immense power. That heart created some kind of crystal to control the heart so that no one could steal it. With the last heart remaining, it awakened some power within Fu Yi. Fu Yi used the black fox power. Fu Yi looked extremely angry, but it was a calm kind of anger. The dimensional collapse made the Black Widow feel very angry, as she was a character that the demon with the ball haircut intended to resurrect. The reason why the demon with the ball haircut wanted to resurrect her was still unknown. The Black Widow emerged from her lair and asked why he had failed, why he couldn't take his heart. The demon with the ball haircut replied that he was currently. The Black Widow decided that she would go get it herself. The demon with the ball haircut, seeing that the Black Widow had awakened, decided not to interfere anymore because it felt like the more he got involved with those two, the more memories of the past would resurface. The Black Widow agreed, but she didn't let the demon. By stabbing her spider leg into him, it guaranteed that the demon with the ball haircut was dead. It was an easy death, not what one would expect from a final boss. The scene flashed back to the memories of the demon with the ball haircut, who knew the main character's father, and it was the main character's father who raised her until she grew up, but she didn't know what happened afterward. After the golden-haired demon was stabbed by the Black Widow or that female spider demon. The golden-haired demon still wasn't dead. The Black Widow, seeing this, decided to stab his heart again to finish him off. But then the demon with the ball haircut said, "You can't kill me because I already know you won't keep your promise. So I put something inside me. It will destroy you if you don't follow my orders." After a while, the black spider's body started to swell, and her skin burst open. The scene cut to the main character, who had just finished dealing with the black spider's offspring. In another room, the white snake teacher came in and asked if he was okay. The main character remained silent. The main character's silence made the white snake teacher ask where Su Yuan was. Fu Yi replied that Su Yuan had gone down into the blood sea, and the white snake teacher was shocked, realizing that Su Yuan was dead, right? The snake teacher doesn't understand that the vampire blood sea is such a rule. A normal person who falls in would have their bones dissolved, let alone a demon. An animal that falls in could even become paralyzed trying to get back out. There's no way it would survive. But the white snake teacher doesn't understand why Fu Yi says that Su Yun is still alive. Su Yun is just standing still, staring at the blood sea, so the white snake teacher thinks that Fu Yi must. While Fu Yi is looking at the blood sea, the true form of the black spider demon reveals itself after it exploded out. It intends to harm Fu Yi, not knowing how it found Fu Yi. It plans to take Fu Yi's heart for itself. Seeing this, Fu Yi intends to punch it, but as he gets closer, he senses an incredibly strong energy. Any demon that comes into contact with the black spider's skin will be drained of their energy until they die. The protagonist dodges, dodging the black spider. It then goes to drain the energy of the demons. While the protagonist and the white snake teacher are dodging, the protagonist makes a mistake because behind him is the vampire blood sea. When the protagonist jumps to dodge again, it means he will definitely fall into the vampire acid blood sea. So, he prepares to deal with the Black Widow spider's legs. Just as he is about to confront it, a red shadow, shimmering like blood, cuts off the Black Widow spider's leg. That leg doesn't hit the protagonist. The protagonist is very shocked, wondering who cut it off and which demon is strong enough to do that. The scene reveals Su Yuan in a new form, the true demon form. Su Yuan has completely transformed into a spirit. The protagonist then asks, "What happened to you? Why did you come so late? If you had come any later, I would have been very upset." The protagonist then grabs Fu Yi's hand. He kisses her and says, "I'm sorry, I needed a little time to adjust." The protagonist asks, "Why do you have horns? What does that mean?" He shows his fangs and says, "Besides having horns, I..." "Look." She shows her fangs, and the protagonist, seeing her cute little fangs, might just kiss her again. The white snake teacher, seeing the two sweethearts, interrupts, "Excuse me, but right now." Looking up, it turns out that the black spider's legs are currently blocking the three of them from escaping. The Black Widow wants to drain the energy from all three. Fu Yi then pulls the protagonist back, but he pushes her away and says, "You should rest," while blood drips from his mouth, and he kisses Fu Yi. He tells Fu Yi to rest first. "My blood will nourish you. I will handle this myself." This will be the first time Su Yuan shows his power as a spirit, and his display of power in this form shocks everyone because it seems like Su Yuan has learned this power since birth. No one knows how Su Yuan can use this power. Su Yuan fights the black spider demon and easily grabs the spider demon's leg that is draining energy and breaks it off. The spider demon realizes it has reached its end. "Am I going to die?" The spider demon then begs for its life. But Su Yuan says no. "You almost killed Fu Yi." Because while Su Yuan is about to unleash his spirit power to eliminate the spider demon, a silver crystal suddenly blocks him, which is the crystal from the hairball demon. The hairball demon then asks Su Yuan, "Don't you want your father?" Hearing that, Su Yuan is shocked. "How do you know my father? Who is he? Tell me now." The hairball demon says, "If you want your father to come back, you must use the power of the spider demon. Please don't kill him." The protagonist begins to feel confused and hesitant. The spider demon laughs and says, "I don't have the power to bring anyone back. I'm sorry, I tricked you." The hairball demon is very confused. "Wait, you said you have power, otherwise, how could you enter my psychic stream?" The spider demon replies, "You're just foolish. So, I will reveal my true form for everyone to see, and then I will kill everyone." The spider demon then uses its ultimate ability. It pulls out a pile of vampire corpses from the blood sea and drains their energy for itself. This is the ultimate power of the spider, which is to mimic the abilities of others from their corpses. The spider demon. "Your father was once in my belly because I ate him. I'm sorry for eating your father, but soon your corpse will be consumed by me, and you'll meet your father in the form of death or as a corpse. So prepare to be eaten by me, you spider demon, who is ready to devour everyone." After that day, the love between the couple Fu Yi and Su Yuan flourished, and their feelings for each other developed smoothly until one day a letter arrived at Fu Yi's door. The letter stated that Fu Yi should return to her clan to breed with other humans to continue the lineage and to see her mother because her mother was dying. Seeing this, Fu Yi felt extremely stressed, not about having to breed with others, but about her mother dying. This meant time was running out. So, Fu Yi tore up the letter and put it away in the drawer. Su Yuan, who had woken up, noticed Fu Yi's recent behavior, which was quite uncontrollable. "Whenever he was with me, he often seemed distracted and acted unusually forceful. He would break things recklessly. What is happening with Fu Yi?" Su Yuan started to worry about Fu Yi. So, she planned to ask Fu Yi about it today. But before Fu Yi arrived, Su Yuan accidentally opened Fu Yi's drawer. Inside, there were some letters that had been torn up. Su Yuan tried to piece them together and read them. It turned out that Su Yuan saw that Fu Yi had received a letter to return to her tribe, to breed and have descendants. Su Yuan was taken aback upon seeing this. After a while, Fu Yi's sister suddenly appeared out of nowhere. This is Fu Yi's sister, who, upon seeing Su Yuan, asked where Fu Yi was and why she was in his room. Su Yuan didn't know how to respond. Seeing the state of the protagonist, who looked like a bee that had been stung, she realized that this must be Fu Yi's wife. So she asked, "Are you his girlfriend?" Su Yuan replied, "Yes." When the protagonist returned and saw his sister, he asked, "Why are you here?" His sister replied, "Did you not receive the letter? Have you read it yet?" The protagonist said, "I read it, but I'm not going." His sister then said, "At least you should go see mother for a bit." Fu Yi then grabbed his sister and threw her out of the room, saying, "I'm not going anywhere. My life is here." His sister responded, "But she is dying. At least it would be good to see her one last time." Then his sister walked out. Su Yuan approached Fu Yi. Su Yuan told Fu Yi, "I read that letter. I pieced it together and tried to read it. I think you should go back to her, don't you?" Fu Yi replied, "You know the purpose of that letter. They don't want me to return to my mother at all, they just used that as bait. Even if my mother really dies, it doesn't matter." Fu Yi then told the protagonist not to mention this again. The protagonist looked downcast. Later that night, Fu Yi sat alone in the dark, sipping alcohol and beer. The protagonist came to sit with him and said, "You know, when I received the memories from when I was still alive, I felt very regretful for having spent so little time with him. I don't want you to end up like me." The hero then said to Su Yuan, "Are you trying to persuade me to go see my mother?" The protagonist replied, "Yes, that's what I want. I don't want you to feel sad like I do. This hesitation shouldn't be like this, but I don't want to force you. So if you want to go, just tell me. But if you really don't want to go, I won't bring it up again." Fu Yi was deep in thought. After a while, Fu Yi said to the protagonist, "Then can you be my companion? Please, I really want you to come with me." The protagonist agreed, hugged Fu Yi, and said, "Okay, I'll go with you." The scene then shifted to the two of them arriving at the village of the Black Fox clan. The protagonist immediately sensed a strong scent of Black Fox. So this is the essence of the perfect Black Fox clan. While Fu Yi and Su Yuan were walking towards Fu Yi's mother's room, a staff member came out and said, "Miss, the lady is requesting to see you." But the hero replied, "I won't go see her, I'm only going to see my mother." The staff member then said, "Miss, you should know what happens if you disobey orders. Please don't make me work hard. Just go see the lady for a moment." The hero had to go see his father. When the hero and the heroine entered the guest room of his father, the father didn't say much. He told the hero to prepare to meet and mate with human women and quickly produce many heirs to reduce the risk of not giving birth to a black fox. He shouldn't waste time mating with certain spirits, and then he looked down at the protagonist. The father was looking down on the protagonist. The protagonist, realizing he was being looked down upon, felt confused. The father said, "If you don't let a few women get pregnant, then if you want to return to being gay, no one will say anything." The protagonist, seeing how the father spoke to the hero, felt very bad for him. It's no wonder he didn't want to return to this family. They never saw him as a son, only as a breeding object. The hero stood up, slammed the table, and said, "No. My love will only be for Su Yuan. I won't give it to anyone else, and I won't have children if it means farming on the backs of humans for your benefit. This family will end with me." The hero then walked out, and the protagonist followed him out and kissed the hero's cheek. The heroine then said, "I'm sorry for bringing you along, knowing what kind of person he is. He never sees the value in others, he only sees his own worth. Don't listen to his words." The heroine kissed Fu Yi's cheek again. She then said, "You were really cute just now. Thank you so much for saying that. I almost lost my temper too." She laughed. Then she made a gloomy face because the next step was to go see her own mother. When the hero entered his mother's room, she suddenly went into a rage after not having done so for about 3 or 4 years. But as soon as the hero arrived, she exploded in anger. The hero walked up to his mother and told her to stop, "Please, just stop this." The mother then looked up and asked, and who are you? This made Fui feel very bad because what she hated the most was when her mother didn't know who she was, when her mother couldn't remember her. Seeing that her mother didn't recognize her, Fui quickly left the chamber. The protagonist, seeing her husband walk out, followed him. Su Yuan then told Fui, "Don't be sad. If you have something to say, you can tell me." Fui then said to Su Yuan, "I feel sad every time I see her face, and it hurts even more that she doesn't remember me. I don't want to come back here because it reminds me of my childhood. When I felt terrible, I cut off my own ear to try to become human again, hoping that my mother would remember me. But she never did. I don't know why it is like this. Maybe it's because she never loved me in the first place. I really don't want to come here." Just then, a servant shouted, "The lady is drowning." The protagonist turned and saw that Fuyi's mother had suddenly jumped into the water. Suddenly, he dove into the water. "So she can't swim, huh? She's about to drown." Su Yuan was planning to jump in and help, you know. But Fui held her back and said it wasn't necessary. She might have chosen to do that on her own. The male lead, seeing his wife standing still while her mother was dying, said, "This isn't right. We have to help her." Su Yuan then hurriedly swam down, but she wasn't fast enough. So Fui transformed into a fox and jumped in to rescue her mother and Su Yuan. Once Fui got her mother up, she planned to escape outside, but Su Yuan told Fui not to run away. Su Yuan then asked her mother why she went into the water, and her mother replied, "I was going to find my child." The child her mother was talking about was the doll that Fui had made for her when she was little. Fui, realizing that her mother remembered her as a child but not in the present, was confused. Su Yuan then asked her mother, "So where is Fui now?" Her mother replied, "Fui was taken by a monster, but don't worry. I chased the monster away, and one day it will come back. It must be scared and won't dare to come out." Fui was crying. Su Yuan, seeing that her mother truly didn't recognize Fui, felt very sad for Fui. It wasn't an act, she just couldn't remember. Su Yuan then said, "It's okay. I've found Fui, and I will take care of her myself. She might not come back anytime soon, but I will take care of her." Her mother, seeing that Su Yuan said he would take care of Fui, felt relieved. She then told Su Yuan, "Really? She's with you, right? Then please tell her that I miss her, and don't let her eat too many sweets, especially candy, or her teeth will rot. She should eat carrots and vegetables and some meat so she can grow up quickly, but I hope my child grows up to be strong." Su Yuan nodded and promised his mother that he would take care of Fui. Then the subordinates came to take her mother back to rest. Su Yuan, seeing that his mother didn't remember Fui, felt very sorry for Fui. But Fui hugged Su Yuan and said, "This is enough. At least I know she still cares about me and that I'm alive. That's enough for me." And the male lead cried out loud. It felt like a release, even if his mother didn't remember him. Deep down, she still cared about the old Fui. So he decided to hold on to that. Fui then spoke and cried. After that, Fui and Su Yuan returned to the university as usual. Because it was Fuyi's birthday, Fui had a surprise for Su Yuan. She bought a ring for Su Yuan. It was like a proposal. It was like a proposal. Both of them have exchanged rings and are fully committed. Su Yuan has taken the hero to her home and told her mother that they are now engaged in a roundabout way and that they will get married in the future. The mother, upon hearing this, smiled with great joy, realizing that her child has found someone sincere and genuine. She was very happy. After that, 100 years passed. Yes, everyone, you heard it right, 100 years passed. Now, the hero and the heroine are still living together as demons, but the one who has passed away is the heroine's mother. After 100 years, the heroine's mother has already passed away. The heroine and the hero went to her mother's grave, and the heroine placed flowers there. Seeing the heroine sad, the hero said, "I will be by your side, so don't worry." The heroine replied, "It's okay. I knew from the beginning that this would happen. At least while we lived together, I did my best, and there's nothing to regret." The hero then planned to take the heroine somewhere, hoping it would lighten her heart. The place Fui took her to was a honeymoon spot. Fui took Suyuan to various places. After exploring, they had a great time in 2 days. After they finished, Fui told Suyuan, "Make sure to sleep early tonight. Tomorrow, I will take you to a very important place." Suyuan agreed. When morning came, Fui took Suyuan to a clock tower church. Seeing it, Suyuan said, "This looks just like the clock tower at school. Why did you bring me here for the dance?" Fui took Suyuan's hand and led her up. Once they reached the top, Fui transformed into a fox form and raised his hands, asking Suyuan, "Do you want to dance with me?" Seeing this, Suyuan reminisced about the past when they were still human. They didn't have strength back then, and he still had to take care of her. That day was another day. He took her to the rooftop and asked her to dance. He was still the same as before. Suyuan couldn't help but cry. She told Fui, "Yes, I will dance with you." Fui replied, "From now on, I will be by your side. And we will take care of each other. You don't have to worry." The heroine said, "That's exactly what I want most in life. Thank you so much for being in my life." They kissed and danced in the bright sunlight, promising to be together forever until life itself ends. And the story comes to an end. Oh my God, it's so heart-wrenching. The story of the love rules of August has concluded. Fui and Suyuan are together. 100 years have passed, and the rules of the world of August have changed a lot, but what hasn't changed is that this couple still loves each other and seems like they will never stop loving each other easily because they were made to be together. Alright, if anyone liked this story, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. For today, Noah Bio will take her leave. Goodbye.